Thanks, Clint. Welcome to Cadinia Park and a whole new battle in front of us here tonight. It is for top spot, the minor premiership, and we've got the pictures of the final moments of the game at the Gabba being played on the big screen. There's no crowd in attendance. Corbin Middlemass, Andrew Mays, Brett Delidio, Brendan Goddard and Jess Webster. We'll say hello to the crew momentarily, but we're ready to go for the opening bounce. No late change. Melbourne and Geelong for the minor premiership. Here's Andrew Mays.
What a massive occasion this is. A few less fans here at Cadinia Park. Gorn tried to win it out of the middle, couldn't do so. Now it's a chance as he gets it back. Hand pass to Petrarca, forward of centre. Kicks inside 50. Good kick to space. It'll land in front of Brown, who was nudged out of it on that occasion by Blitzarves and sees it over for a boundary throw in left forward pocket for the D's.
Dan, how's the standout from all that crowd? Everyone going crazy at the Gabba. A double chance for Brisbane. They knocked the Bulldogs out of the top four, and here we are with just ourselves, Maisie.
We could hear ourselves nice and clearly. Dangerfield with the clearance. Just got the hand pass away to Menegola, who tried to raise his arms above the tackle. He just got the hand pass to Atkins. Ball spills free. Chance for the D's now. McDonald, he's tackled well. Ball spills again. Tap to the advantage of Brown. Hand pass now to Salem. Salem kicks inside 50. No one back there for the D's, and taking the mark is Henderson.
No late change here at Cadinia Park. Sean Higgins, an experienced medical sub for Geelong, and James Jordan for Melbourne. Demons in their home jumper in the Navy with the Navy shorts despite playing away, and Geelong in the hoops. They got the white shorts on. So they're inside the defensive 50 as Cam Guthrie goes short to Selwood at centre half back. Brendan Goddard's here. G'day, Beach.
G'day, boys. Looking forward to this one.
Nice trip down.
Lovely trip in the car with you, Corbin.
Yes.
It's a loaded question if I've ever heard one.
I wouldn't expect any other answer. As the kick goes across the back line, Selwood to Henderson. He goes short. And Smith marks half back. Brett Delidio's alongside me. Hello, Lids.
Corby, another very peaceful trip for me too, mate.
Yes.
All by myself, but loved every minute of it.
Music pumping. What sort of tones do you roll with?
I had a bit of heavy stuff on, to be honest, mate. Getting pumped up for this one.
Smith long down the line and off hands, it's out of play. Oh, that wasn't the right answer. Brendan Goddard and myself were listening to ABC Melbourne, of course, on the way down here, Lids, which I know you were flicking between the two. Jess Webster's the fifth member of our crew. She's on the boundary. Hello, Jess.
G'day, Cor. Beautiful night for footy down here. 12 degrees and really clear. And also great to see Tom Stewart on the Cats bench. Obviously ruled out for the year with a foot injury, but he's on the bench supporting the boys tonight.
Oliver with the clearance. He gained about 35 metres up towards right half forward. It was knocked over by the two 25s playing on each other tonight. McDonald of the D's and Henderson of the Cats. Ball thrown back into play. Gorn, rather shallow throw in. Palmed it to the advantage of Vonnie. Just missed him. Coming through Salem. Hand pass to Petrarca. Slips through his hands and out of bounds. Uncharacteristic from one of the Brownlow medal favourites. Ball in between wing and half forward.
A few changes from the game last week for Melbourne. Viney, May and McDonald. The three returning from the side which beat Adelaide. Meanwhile for Geelong, Rowan, Atkins and Myers in for the team that defeated St Kilda for the boundary throw-in. Couple of touches for Dangerfield. He links up with close by hand, gives it to Cam Guthrie, kicks to half forward. Cameron in a wrestle with Petty, and Cameron being held. So they get Stephen May back in their defence today. He's trying to drop back and defend Hawkins. The kick comes in his direction. Big flight from Rowan at the back. Can't pull it in. Forward pocket for the Cats. Kick into the city end. Lever extracts it from the pack. Hand pass out to Brayshaw. His hand pass cut out. And Cameron sees it over the boundary line. So a throw in half forward for the Cats. What are you anticipating tonight, Beach? What's in front of us?
I'm just interested to see what the Cats do with their defenders, and we talk about a lot when you see Melbourne is that wicket keeper that plays behind the ball when Max Gawn then goes and mans up one of the key forwards for the opposition. So what they do with that, and I think they've got the arsenal up front to actually really stretch Melbourne's defenders, which has been elite this year, which we'll probably see two All-Australians in it.
Selwood with the clearance. High kick up towards the teeth of 50. Lever from about 4 deep. His fist went 25 metres back to Selwood, who kicks back inside attacking 50. Good spoil by Smith. Petty out the back. Gets it on the bounce. He's looking for a way out. Nice option as well. It was Bowie coming the other way to Langdon, and Langdon, a high snap over his shoulder, clears the immediate danger, and it's a fantastic mark by Fridge, going back with the flight, lowers his eyes too. McDonald marks 70 from goal.
Missed the last three with the back injuries between wing and half forward. Kicks inside 50. Stanley back punching it away for Geelong. Still alive in the pocket for the D's. Harms races out of it. Kolajasny there first, and Langdon tackles him over the boundary line. A throw in forward pocket for Melbourne. kicking to the Barwon River end in the opening term. Plenty at stake tonight. The winner gets the minor premiership. The loser will find themselves in enemy territory in a qualifying final. They'll play Port Adelaide at Adelaide Oval, so one to be avoided.
Pickett ropes beautifully at the front of the pack. There was no one between him and the goal, and he runs to the line and kicks the first. 5 minutes played opening term. The opening score is a goal, and Melbourne are in front by 6 points.
Geez, that was impressive, wasn't it, Maisie? Just read the ball beautifully off the hands, and Cats didn't have a wicket keeper or a goalkeeper there in the goal square. No one there to put any sort of pressure on him, and he just put the jets on, and away he went and strolled into the opening goal for the D's. Really good setup there for the D's in that forward 50. You know, the Cats and any team that we've played in Beach, that coaches would be ruining forward 50 goals against it at stoppage. So questioning whether the Cats were right on there and did they get enough body work into Cozzy Pickett prior to that, but he just did his work and away he went.
If you're just joining us, Brisbane by 38 points over West Coast, and to answer the question, yes, that's enough. So Brisbane into the top 4, the Western Bulldogs out, having been top for most of the season. They'll start 5th. And as a result, they'll face elimination finals the whole way through. Back in the middle, Stanley soccers it out of the centre square for Geelong. There's a free. Lever's been held. In fact, it was Petty before that, and he's tangled with Cameron. So we've had a free kick either way to start in the matchup between Cameron and Petty. And Petty for Melbourne. Back to May and short to Salem. He goes short too to Sparrow, still at right half back for the D's. Throughout the night, 0437 774 774. A tough day for Melburnians, but wherever you're listening around the country, get in touch, let us know what you're up to tonight. As Sparrow kicks into the man on the mark. Simpson intercepts for Geelong. Hand pass to Guthrie, that's Cam, the only one out there. Back to Simpson, kicks to centre half forward. There's another pack, there's another free. Advantage applied for the Demons. Oliver off centre half back.
Pickett is the way out. He's at left half back, takes the mark, chips the ball over the top to Neil Bullen. He marks just behind centre wing. Melbourne a goal, Geelong yet to score after 6.5 minutes here in the opening term. Trying to bite off a fair bit there. It was a good kick too to the leading Petrarca in the middle in the centre circle. He goes long, 1-on-1. Brown, one grab, not the second. Menegola back there for help for the Cats. Piercing ball is a good one. He finds O'Connor right half back.
A few free kicks already early in the game, particularly in this front third in front of us at the city end. So O'Connor on the back flank, swings it across the half-back line for Geelong. Henderson marks a step behind it, goes short to Brian Myers. He's back in the team. He's missed the last 3 as well with a leg injury. Last played in round 19, and the slow, deliberate build-up short to Menegola.
That's in the script, isn't it? A leg injury.
Yes.
That's a fair way.
It's a catch-all category. Is Menegola, who likes to go long lids down the line as Stanley in from the side. He spoils it out of play and a throw-in just forward of the wing for the Cats. A bit of oil and water about this, as we like to say, the contrasting styles. The number 1 contested possession team, Melbourne, up against the number 1 uncontested possession team in Geelong. So high in the uncontested marks and disposal category, the Cats.
Ball toss back in. Gawn down to Harms, back to Gawn, who snapped off his left boot, got a little bit of purchase on it, beyond centre wing. Jackson couldn't get a fly at it, Brown tried to, now Jackson bounces off him to Oliver, he was dispossessed. Cats with numbers, Parfitt to Blitzarves, to Cam Guthrie, now to Parfitt who's tackled, holding the ball. Pressure good from the D's around the stoppages early. Brayshaw with the free kick.
That's also a category, they're number 1 in Melbourne, the best tackling team in the league. So Brayshaw rewarded here, heads down to half forward, hands on it from Blitzarves, can't mark it, he's 200th, goes back in for another look, taps it out the back door to Menegola, kicks it straight into Oliver, ricochets to O'Connor, still at half back to Cats. O'Connor gives it to Parfitt, away to Myers, around the corner in characteristic fashion, down the wing, and Gawn just moves Cameron out of the way, takes the mark on the wing for Melbourne.
Started very well, Max Gawn. He shifts it to half-back where May takes the mark, further to left half-back where Smith takes the mark. He goes out wide to Langdon. He wants to get it moving quickly. Now Rivers back to Langdon. Langdon can go inside 50. It's a shocking high kick. Good luck marking that. Brown will get a run at it 3 deep. Brought it to ground. Pickett toes it off to the advantage of a couple of his teammates. Then knocks it forward. No one can take clean possession. Oliver's in there. He was bumped off it by O'Connor. Going in strongly at ground level. A couple of Cats around it. Blitzarv's taken the ground, and Viney gets up. Ball up, left forward pocket for the D's. They lead it by 6.
Another game tonight, Carlton and GWS. Will keep you updated with that, although the Giants' place in the 8 looking pretty safe after results already this weekend. Another ball up here, forward pocket for the D's. Melbourne 1 straight, Geelong yet to score, 10 minutes in. Opening term and a forward 50 stoppage for Melbourne. Gorn, the double tap, down to Oliver. Off balance, shoots goalward but misses. Now behind for Clayton Oliver. Melbourne 1-1, Geelong yet to score. Early impressions, Beach?
Melbourne are doing... It's interesting, number 1 uncontested team, but when they start this, what we've seen already, Melbourne setting up really well. Being on a smaller ground as well are going to suit Melbourne, just their ability team defence-wise to set up, stop those short 45s, stop the uncontested chain from Geelong, which then will allow them to get numbers back behind the ball, even if they don't have that +1 or wicket keeper, as we like to say. So interested to see how that pans out for the rest of the night.
Cats have worked this to halfway. It ends up with Menegola, who goes inboard to Holmes. Now to Collar Jasny, who was part of the earlier chain. He kicks high inside 50. Petty tried to go the mark. About 3 deep was Hawkins. Lowered his eyes coming out of the pack. That kick went about 8 or 9 metres. And Dalhouse has been paid it on his chest. He's 30 metres out, slight angle to the left.
8 or 9? What is it, 15 metres these days?
Yeah. Didn't look 15 from up here.
I would have paid it. He does that so well, doesn't he, Tomahawk? His ability to recover, but then to find a target, left or right foot.
Good decision maker, is he? If that was probably Melbourne with the ball, and it was probably player, wasn't it? The old,
yep.
Or if it was in any team's defence with the ball in hand.
Dalhouse comes in to fire towards goal, and he makes no mistake. We're tied up at a goal apiece between 1 and 2 after 11 minutes here at Canada Park.
There's a bit more speed in that one. They did manage to get the ball in that launch.
Short, sharp one, wasn't it?
Yeah, a little short, sharp one. They got it back into the middle of the ground, got it to that launch pad. For those that are listening, don't know where that is. That's between 50 and 70 metres out. And then able to get it in quicker. Melbourne did have numbers back, but as you made mention, that Hawkins' ability to recover from that initial marking contest, get to the ground ball and make just good decisions by foot or hand, as we highlighted too, especially forward of centre. It's pretty valuable when you've got a guy that's a key position player that can obviously play tall when he needs to, best one-on-one contested mark in the competition, and then his ability just to make decisions with ball in hand is a super impressive thing about him.
Danger, has he started? What's he got? Socks down.
Wow.
Yeah, we're on Danger Watch. We're on Menegola Short Kick Watch and Bailey Fritsch Hair Watch tonight. Keep an eye out.
Fritz started well in the hair department as well, as Jackson gets a running start at it back in the middle. And bounce though favours or Blitzarv's, and there's an early call here for holding the ball. That's a very odd call. It landed in Blitzarv's lap. He was caught. Now Harms is going to get the centre break. Kicks to Fritsch. Can't take the mark. Spills down to Buse. Hand pass through to Holmes in the defensive 50. Under pressure to Collar Jasny. To Henderson. Slides out of 2 tackles. Hand pass back into dispute. Fritsch fighting for it. Becomes tackler on Atkins. Ball held to him. And a ball up 40 metres out from Melbourne's goal. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Just taking a look at the Melbourne Demons bench, and the trainer is getting around the players on the bench with a brush and brushing the underneath of their boots, just trying to clear it of all the grass and dirt and whatnot. So silver service down here on the Melbourne bench.
Henderson gets in the back in a tackle here as well from the stoppage. So the free kick is going to go Viney's way. It's the second time he's getting up off the bottom of the pack in the left forward pocket. Won't quite suit him being a left footer, but he's straight enough that he should kick the second of the evening for the D's.
Did you call on that service much, Lids, to make sure there was no grass in the
absolutely.
In the
only at the Tigers, though. He didn't have it at the Giants. We had Drac, the boot starter, down there at the Tigers, and he'd be out. He'd have all your boots lined up pre-game. He'd be out there every quarter, ready with the steel brush, make sure they're clean. He's a great man, Dracky.
In comes Viney, tosses the ball a couple of times in his hands. He'll kick from 40, lines up. It's across the face, one behind. The umpire takes a tumble, collision with Henry on the goal line. He signals the minor score. 1-2-8 the D's, 1 straight 6 the Cats after 14 minutes.
The D's just got a second chance on goal there just through their pressure, keeping the ball inside 50. That's another thing that's been noticeable early, is just their pressure around the ball, particularly in that forward half. And they're set up so well behind it, but pressure around the ball, just giving themselves second, third opportunities to keep the ball inside 50.
Big trademark of their game, as we saw, particularly in the front half of the year from the D's, as Geelong have worked their way through the maze from the wing. Collar Jasny down to half forward. The long ball on the entry, and of course Stephen Mays underneath it. takes the intercept mark for Melbourne. Game number 168. He's never played in a final series. A former captain of the Suns. On the eve of one next weekend, he goes long down towards the wing. Gawn the target, spills Geelong's way. Atkins by hand away to Cameron. Pumps it back inside 50, floating across Smith. Takes the intercept mark in defensive 50 for Melbourne. That's Joel Smith.
He'll switch things up as well to go to Rivers. Left back pocket. He almost had too much on it for Spargo. It's okay. He dinks a neat little ball inside. Mark is taken by Sparrow. Got a bit of late contact there from Selwood. Gets to his feet. He's okay. Kicks beyond centre wing towards half forward. Henry athletically up over the top. And what about the front and centre crumb from Pickett? Off the outside of his boot to Fritsch inside 50. Outstanding roving by Cozzy Pickett. And he's had a couple of good moments to open this top-of-the-table clash.
Well, that time, Pickett was actually confronted with a little bit of pressure because he had Henderson that was chasing him, and Henderson knew his limitations. He wasn't getting, he's just almost about to put up the hand and ask for a little bit of help because he had no chance of catching him. But good run back or release back forward from Frisch, who was back at that initial contest and then read the play and then pushed hard forward to get on the end of this.
This will take his best. He's got a kick from 50. It's low. It'll just have the carry. It's across the face for one behind. 1-3-9 the D's. The Cats 1 straight 6 after 16 minutes in the opening term.
Melbourne's last minor premiership back in 1964. They do have a good conversion rate, though, which has gone against the recent trend when they've won the minor premiership, Melbourne. 9 times previously, converted 8 of those into premierships. As the long exit kick out of the defensive arc from the Cats ends up out on the full, so Langdon takes the free for Melbourne. Goes laterally to Sparrow. Takes the mark outer edge of the centre square. Can put Melbourne back inside. The D's by 3 points. With the early momentum at Kardinia Park, he bangs it into the man on the mark. Guthrie ricochets away to Rivers. Tackled, dispossessed and pinged, holding the ball. Nice chase down tackle. And the free kick to Hawkins at centre half back for the Cats.
Long way up the field. Tom Hawkins. Almost everyone in front of him by the time he takes the kick. He slips a little as he kicked that. It's over the head of Harms, who let it go. It allowed Rowan to get it on the bounce. He goes back to O'Connor by hand, who off his left was looking for Guthrie. May comes off his man. Just had to get it out of bounds, and he's paid deliberate. He had a bit of a slip too, might have even come off his chest as he indicates. Guthrie, quick thinking, no one on the mark, ran inside 50 to the top of the square. Selwood having his arm held, gets the free kick.
Yeah.
100%
there?
Yeah, 100% it was there.
Oh, yeah, good one. Didn't need to do it.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, Joel's... It wasn't a bad kick. It was slightly on Joel's left shoulder, but Langford just
panicked a little bit, didn't he? He just felt like he was out of position and then grabbed onto that arm.
So Selwood at the top of the square should deliver the second goal of the evening for the Cats. In he comes, starts his approach from about 30 out, he'll kick from 20, keeps it low and delivers the second goal. 2 straight 12 the Cats, they take the lead for the first time this evening. Melbourne 1-3-9, the margin 3 points. Your experts on Grandstand AFL, Brett DeLeo and Brendan Goddard.
They probably had a chance, Beach, to turn that ball over down here on the wing if Harms...
Oh, you're calling him out on it.
I'm not sure whether he just misread it and thought someone else maybe called him out of it, and he's like, oh, maybe that's my teammate, but it was O'Connor who ran onto it, kicked it out in front of Cam Guthrie. Stephen May did his best to disguise it, but it was pretty blatant, wasn't it, to push that one straight over.
Slip over after he hit it out of bounds, and he got a bad bounce, but it was actually good by Selwood just to push forward on Langdon, just to make him accountable, because generally that off-ball side winger runs back there and has a bit of time and space, but Selwood pushes back to create that one-on-one at the top of the square, and as we know, smaller wingman Lids, as he played up there, he always took them forward just to expose
You've got to test them out,
expose their inability to defend.
First lead change of the night, Geelong by 3 as Jackson back in the middle wins the hit out for Melbourne. Viney, a few little fumbles, keeps it in front of him, soccers it forward, but Buse in the other direction, out to meet it off the back flank, floats a kick down the wing, it bounces off Bowie and out of play, and a throw in on the outer wing, western or eastern side of the ground rather, here at Kardinia Park. Now off the SMS 0437 774 774. Shout out to Simon and Darwin getting fishing gear ready for tomorrow. Go the D's, long time supporter. Shout out as well to Kevin in Myrtleford, always one of our loyal listeners, as well as Grant in Waterloo up in Sydney.
Selwood with the clearance, goes inside defensive 50 with a high kick. Lever, fantastic mark. I think he might have been paid the mark, then this has been reversed, has it? Bit of an elbow as he went to ground in the face of Dalhouse.
I think it was his left arm that was over Dalhouse's shoulder that's been paid for, but then it was falling down on top of him with full force and a little forearm. Just a massage across the chin, Maisie, I think it was, but didn't like the extra attention that Dalhouse is obviously trying to make Lever accountable, not allowing him just to run his own race down there, which he has done pretty well for the whole year.
Yeah, I reckon the umpire has signalled Mark in the background there and then reversed his decision with the little elbow on the grip.
It was definitely contact to his face.
Got to be careful this time of year, of course. Dalhouse comes in and misses from the right forward pocket, one behind. 20 minutes played, opening term. Geelong 2-1-13, Melbourne 1-3-9. The margin 4 points in favour of the Cats.
Only 5 minutes into the opening quarter at Dockland, so 15 minutes behind us. A point each between Carlton and the Giants in Eddie Bett's final game. As Stephen May goes long, straight up the pipe, and Ben Brown marks, virtually uncontested at the end, and shanks his kick going wide out to Langdon. Boy, that wasn't good off the boot. He puts his hand up to apologise. It floats out of bounds and a throw-in on the eastern wing right on halfway.
In fact, with that, he just puts it to his advantage and they got another inside 50. So the old kick off one step.
Brisbane by 38, full-time over West Coast. So the Lions in the top four, the Dogs out. They'll face elimination the whole way through the finals. From the boundary throw-in, the ball spills out to Oliver. Hand pass to Jackson, to Langdon by hand. Melbourne with it, eastern wing. Oliver on the logo, kicks in the middle of the ground. Surely a free kick for Petrarca, he'll get it. And a player in O'Connor trying to take a hanger on his shoulders and didn't touch the footy. Free kick for Petrarca inside the centre square.
Holds his neck and his head a little bit, back of his neck. As he receives the free kick, 70 from goal, kicks inside 50. Brown, great strong pack mark, rose highest at the front. No one was spoiling that high.
I think it was a nice little block from McDonald there at the back, but Ben Brown's been allowed just to run and jump at the footy. He's kind of looked likely every time he's gone near it because he has been able to just get a run and jump, and as we know, because his ability to take the ball at its highest point, it's pretty hard to defend.
Yeah.
When he's got that opportunity.
Well, Henry played on King last week, didn't he, and gave away inches. He's doing the same thing again tonight, so he needs to get that early body contact.
Welcome to our WA listeners. As Melbourne trail by 4 points, Brown with a shot towards goal, and he's given them the lead back. He has his first of the evening. Melbourne 2-3-15, Geelong 2-1-13. The margin 2 points in favour of the D's, who kicked the opening goal of the game.
I think this centre square bounce out, Blitzars will have the match-up, but I think there was just a handover
to Henry.
Yeah, in general play, and that's just where they are a little bit vulnerable, as you made mention. Highlighted last week with King and now Brown this week, so just something to keep an eye on going into finals against the opposition that have two power forwards that Henry has to potentially play on guys that are
a bit taller
and probably bigger than him.
Ben Brown's first kick moments ago for our audience who weren't with us was a horrific one off the side of the boot. That was a much better finish. His second kick of the night. So a couple of early lead changes. D's by 2. No late change for either team. Sean Higgins, the Medi sub for Geelong, and James Jordan for Melbourne.
Needs the run-up.
Away we go, back in the middle. Gawn got the running start, wins the tap, but straight down to Stanley. Breaks the Oliver tackle and gets the centre clearance. Kicks to half forward. Dalhouse in a wrestle with Salem. Lever over the top with the big spoil. Bowie likewise out wide. In fact, Bowie out wide. And finds the safety of the boundary line. I better not start doing that all night. We'll have a boundary throw in 60 out.
Yeah, you've already confused me.
Take a bow. Our rising star nom from last week, so Jake Bowie. He's coming to the team at the right time of the year. Just his fourth game tonight, the 18-year-old.
Time is everything.
Toss back into play, gone down to Petrarca. Sparrow kicked it off one step up towards the wing. No mark taken. Geelong have the numbers here, although Langdon chimes in for the D's. Hand pass to no one in particular. Dangerfield was cleanest out of everyone. Backtracked, hand pass to O'Connor, who had the ride the Jackson tackle. Hand pass back to Dangerfield. Henry got around Pickett very easily there. Great agility shown. His kick, though, not so good. Oliver takes the relieving mark on the wing for the D's.
The number one contested possession player in the game, Clayton Oliver from the logo of the wing, kicks to half forward. McDonald the target, goes over his head. Dangerfield through traffic, links up with Blitzhardt, shoots a hand pass back for O'Connor, missed him. And out of bounds it goes, a throw in forward pocket for the D's. Earlier today, 38 points, the Lions win over West Coast. It was enough. With 14 seconds to go, they kicked a critical behind to edge them in front of the Western Bulldogs on the ladder. So the Lions will get the double chance, and they'll play in the qualifying final against the top place team, and that's what we're trying to work out tonight. Who finishes top of the tree at the end of the regular season? The winner tonight will claim the McClellan Trophy as minor premiers. Geelong from the stoppage, Cam Guthrie short kick to Cameron, who hits up and marks. Back flank, he goes back in the defensive 50. And here's Buse in the back pocket. One of two Cats to have played every game this year across the goal face, and Henderson marks opposite pocket in front of the behind post, last line of defence.
Henderson to Blitzarves, who had to get some contact from the side. Petrarca was coming like a train the other way. Takes a strong mark in the air. Obviously with the aerial advantage in that contest. Left half back. Blitzarves kicks towards the wing. Stanley will get a run at this through his hands. Dalhouse at ground level. Hand pass to Holmes. Holmes sweeping hand pass over the top. Miss Myers. Smith coming the other way. His hand pass knocked down by Holmes. Oh, great hand pass by Parfitt to Holmes, who had a shot for goal from 30 out and missed everything. Landed about 15 metres in front of him. D's with the numbers. Salem. Kick is okay coming out of defence. Harms takes the mark left half back.
Harms looks inboard, dangerous kick, wanted Oliver. Oliver had his arms chopped, he landed heavily. And the contact from Parfitt, and he'll get the free. A little slow to get up, Clayton Oliver. I won't tell you the leaderboard because it may influence your voting a little later on, but Clayton Oliver needs some votes tonight in the ABC Footballer of the Year to either claim the award outright or tie for the award.
Who's got the votes tonight?
It's up to you, I think.
It's a heavy responsibility for one of you.
It's not going to affect my decision making, mate. Go for your life.
He's up to 9 already, Clayton Oliver. The kick goes long down the wing. There's a tackle on Sparrow. He's taken to ground by Luke Dalhouse, who's kicked a goal already. We'll have a ball up here underneath the Hickey stand. Eastern side of the ground at Cardinia Park. Time on opening term. Tees by 2.
Gorn pumps it straight to Guthrie, though, of the Cats, who hooks it around the corner. Petty in a wrestle there with Cameron. Probably broke even in that contest. He makes the spoil out of bounds, right half forward for the Cats. 27 minutes played, opening term on Grandstand AFL. Melbourne 2-3-15, leading the Cats 2-1-13.
Started well, Oliver, though. 9 touches already.
Toss back into play. Gorn down to Oliver, make that 10. Hand pass to Salem. His hand pass knocked up in the air. Petrarca has to get through one tackle, did so. Hand pass to Gorn, his kick knocked down. Harms came through. Hand pass back to Petrarca, who busted his way through one tackle. Oh, how about the soccer skills from Pickett? Got it to Sparrow. Then to Harms, and now to the run of Langdon. Kick inside 50's a little messy. McDonald playing from behind, was shaken by Henry. Stood up strongly in that tackle. Hand pass to Blitzarves. Hand pass to Buse. His kick smothered. A chance now for the D's. If they can get numbers to this contest. They couldn't quite. Dalhouse on hands and knees. Farms it out. Oliver was strong as an ox. Got it to Petrarca. Hand pass to Harms. Back to Oliver. His hand pass knocked down and out of bounds. He's linked up for a few extra possessions. Already heard you, Corbin. 35 seconds ago. 28 minutes gone. Opening term. D's by 2. They've got it at left half forward.
Must be a bit dewy out there or something. There's a lot of double grabbing.
Don't you make excuses for him. Perfect 9 for football, as Jess said earlier.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Boundary throw in. Stanley wins the tap. Down to Dalhouse. He's locked up straight away and a ball up. 70 out from Melbourne's goal.
You're about to make reference with Dalhouse. His fumble where Geelong was streaming through. There was a turnover that came and space forward of the ball. We actually made an equal number. Just that fumble just killed it. Killed all the momentum that Geelong, well, a little bit they had and they were about to get.
Trains going by at the city end of the ground, as you can probably hear. You can hear most things inside the ground.
7:55 back to Melbourne.
Yes. 2 points, Melbourne's lead, approaching quarter time. Boundary throw in, same spot, high half forward from the stoppage. Harms robes, kicks inside 50, overcooks it. Out on the full. Geelong ball in the back pocket. Just repeating, the Lions got there by 38 points over West Coast, so a top 4 finish. The Dogs facing elimination the whole way through the finals. And Carlton with the first goal, 15 minutes in against the Giants there. 1-2 The Giants 1 behind, 14 minutes in.
Former Blue with the ball in hand at the moment. Henderson kicks towards Dangerfield, who was playing from behind, brought the ball down. Menengola, his kick luckily ricocheted off the ankles of Langdon. And it goes out of bounds on the full. Menengola, short kick, finds Dangerfield. Dangerfield right half back, wants to take off. Risky kick as well by Dangerfield. Brayshaw coming one way. He's able to intercept, taps it in front of himself a couple of times, then kicks smartly to McDonald. McDonald a hand pass to the ankles of Brown, who took a while to pick it up. Hand pass back to Brayshaw at the top of 50. He's taken in a tackle and will be a ball up. The siren beats everyone after half an hour here. Melbourne 2-3-15. Geelong 2-1-13, the margin 2 points in favour of the Dees. Goals to Pickett and Brown for Melbourne, and for the Cats, one each to Dalhouse and Selwood.
Did I see just another little fumble there right on the Bell Beach? Just
A couple of fumbles, yeah.
slippery hands.
No grippo.
The Jew.
The Jew, I don't. It doesn't feel like there's.
Beach never fumbled, mind you. Ever.
It looks
Good players don't. Well, good players don't twice anyway. That's what I used to say.
Got it. Jess Webster's on the boundary. Jess, what is it like downstairs?
Guys, absolutely no excuses. I won't have that tonight. It is as clear as it is, calm as anything.
Thank you.
No excuses at all.
We're going to do some ground balls at quarter time now. Get the full footy out, Jess. I want to see.
We've been doing this a long time together now. Just lockstep on motion. Jess Webster on the boundary. Brendan Goddard, Brett Delidio upstairs. I'm Corbin Middlemass with Andrew Mays. It's Melbourne by 2 points at quarter time. The Demons 2-3, Geelong 2-1 on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
Step back to the 80s.
Standby control room.
Good evening and welcome to News at 6.
The world is changing.
Mikhail Gorbachev.
Second explosion here on Russell Street.
TV news is changing.
60 Minutes are sending female reporters to war zone.
You're a war zone on two legs.
For a star newsreader and promising young reporter,
You know you're incredible.
it's a roller coaster ride.
Please don't tell anyone. Here we go again.
The Newsreader.
Bloody magic.
Sunday nights on ABC TV and streaming on iView.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Pickett ropes beautifully at the front of the pack. There was no one between him and the goal. He runs to the line and kicks the first. Melbourne are in front by 6 points. Eddie tried to go the mark. About 3 deep was Hawkins. Lowered his eyes coming out of the pack. That kick went about 8 or 9 metres. And Dalhouse has been painted on his chest. He's 30 metres out, slight angle to the left. Dalhouse comes in, the fire towards goal, and he makes no mistake. We're tied up at a goal apiece between 1 and 2. Guthrie, quick thinking. No one on the mark. Ran inside 50 to the top of the square. Selwood having his arm held. Gets the free kick. Selwood at the top of the square. In he comes. Starts his approach from about 30 out. He'll kick from 20, keeps it low and delivers the second goal. As he receives the free kick, 70 from goal, kicks inside 50. Brown, great strong pack mark. Rose highest at the front. No one was spoiling that eye. Brown with a shot towards goal and he's given them the lead back. He has his first of the evening.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Sounds there at the opening term. Melbourne by 2 points, 2-3-15. Geelong 2-1-13. It was Brisbane by 38 points over West Coast, so the Lions get the double chance. The Dogs facing elimination in week 1 of the finals. And Carlton with the first 2 goals, Maisie. They lead it by 12 points over GWS at Docklands. That's 18 minutes into the opening term. Carlton 2-2, the Giants 2 behinds. Brett Delidio, Brendan Goddard on Grandstand AFL with their take on that opening term.
What do you see, Lids?
Well, I think it's a pretty good contest as to where we thought it would be when we come into the ground, Beach. It's these probably getting their setups and what they've done all year, haven't they, with their ability to get that wicket keeper dropping off. We see Max Gawn has come out and taken Jeremy Cameron quite a few times, allowing Stephen May to sit back behind the footy. But what has impressed me is the Demons' ability, once they've gone inside 50, to keep it inside there and give themselves secondary opportunities. They've had 6 inside 50 tackles to the Cats 0. So, they've talk about Cosy Pickett, Harms down there, Neil Bullen, Spargo, these sort of players down there that's what they're known for and they're relied upon to keep that footy inside forward 50. They've had a good start so far, but look, I think ultimately the Cats they wouldn't be unhappy considering where they were at quarter time last week. They were down 5 goals to 1 or 2 was it last week, and they've seen that they're trying to play their game. There's the kick mark, and they're going at 82% at the moment to the D's 71, who are trying to get the ball moving a lot quicker. But I think it's a pretty good game so far. What we've seen, that made mention of a couple of fumbles out there, but obviously that's fallen on deaf ears, and it's an excuse. So we won't push on with that anymore.
No excuse. You're giving them out. It's an option tonight, but it's noticeable the pressure and the ball's really good. You highlighted Melbourne's forward 50 defensive pressure, but pressure around the ground's pretty solid. I wouldn't say it's an elite standard from both teams, being obviously both top or vying for top two positions, so arguably top two teams. Clearance is 6-14 D's way, which is...
They've been down in that a little bit of late, haven't they? Because they've been good in the hit-outs, but haven't been so good in the clearances.
Considering their dominance from Gawn and Jackson playing that second ruck backup role, who does a great job, and his ability to get around the ground. So that's a real positive for the D's, because we did highlight, I think the last game we did a couple of weeks ago, about their dominance, 70-odd hit-outs and losing the clearances. So it'd be something they, I think, clearly are focusing on going into finals, because as we know, finals played in a different way, so getting ground position from clearances is going to give you a huge advantage. So it's a pretty tight game. It just looks like, I think D's are looking a lot more solid than Geelong at the minute. I think just their inside 50s, it looks like they've got a bit more space. They're getting in there quicker, their ball movement's a little bit slicker, whereas, again, you highlighted Geelong's just patience with the ball almost to play that short.
That's their style, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's
kick
the way
mark
they go.
it just doesn't look overly promising, because Melbourne are doing such a good job, one, and then slowing them down initially, and then two, they're setting up so well so quickly.
Yes.
That they're having...
That's their one wood, isn't it? Their ability to slow a side up, it's set up really well defensively.
Yeah, and then when the ball does get in motion, if it's not a kick mark, so it's from a handball or it's a play on in motion, then their pressure around the ball's been really good tonight. So that can ramp up a little bit to get to that elite bracket, but I think it's a little bit better than Geelong. So for mine at the minute, if they're able to sustain it, as we know, can change very quickly in this game, particularly when teams have the ability to address certain issues and parts of their game at quarter breaks, that we could see something different. But at the minute, for mine, Melbourne's just looking a little bit more solid across the board.
So Melbourne by 2 points on the scoreboard. The key stats their way to support Brendan Goddard and Brett Delidio's take there. So more disposals, more marks. Clearance is 14-6, and the tackle count 15-12 Melbourne's way as well, despite having slightly more disposals. Second quarter action upon us. The Demons to the city end, Geelong to the Barwon River end as Stanley leaps high, wins the hit out to start the second term. Down to Selwood, had his pocket picked by Oliver, who was then taken high. And another possession for Clayton Oliver. This is number 13 for him coming up. Start of the second term, gives it to Salem, standing still. Not a great option. Parfitt wraps him up and wins possession back. So a couple of frees, and we're still yet to break the centre square. Now Parfitt gets a kick to centre half forward. Big fly from May, got a hand on it, down to Oliver again at the drop. Hand pass away to Rivers, to Viney. Now across to Lever at centre half back. He goes back to Petty by hand.
Petty, right back pocket, pulls the trigger. Good mark by Sparrow. He's taken a couple of good grabs tonight. Goes inboard too. That's a good kick to Salem. Inside the centre square. Another possession for Ola. Not a great one. He gets to Brayshaw on the bounce. Left half forward. Kicks inside 50. Over the head of Brown. Henry's too athletic for him, although it's a bit of a dodgy hand pass. Luckily, Spargo had a slip. Henry goes back to mop up his mess. Hand pass to Menegola. That almost looked out as he dropped the ball onto his boot. Doesn't matter, it's coming back. Brayshaw takes the mark on his chest. Kicks inside 50. Petrarca's there, off hands. A chance now for Spargo to Vitios to bend it round, and he hit it beautifully. Never looked like missing. Great banana. And Viney has his first of the evening. The D's now with an 8-point lead, 90 seconds into the second term.
I'm not sure what happened to the Cats forwards there. They just got left out of position down here. No one was here to make a contest. Brayshaw, the high dump kick from Menegola coming out of their defensive 50, and no one was here. Easy turnover and gave them a re-entry. Wasn't sure on the kick inside, Beach, but good enough to make a contest. Jack Henry coming off the spoil, but Spargo front and centre. Dish out to Jack Viney, and not renowned for his finishing, the left foot banana Jack Viney, but very classy.
It wasn't a kick I expected him, just straighten up and kick a drop punt. But again, that initial ball movement from Oliver essentially got away with a little one with an average kick to Brayshaw. But again, Brendan Brown had a bit of space. As a poor kick from Brayshaw. It was a really good inside 50, a little bit shallow, but there was nothing behind them. But then to get the second opportunity again, set up really well, as you alluded to, just worked a little bit harder to get to that outside position the Melbourne players did to that ball from Menegola coming out, which the turnover came.
Early game high, Melbourne by 8 points. Petrarca under pressure, trickles a kick to centre half forward, spills to Oliver, collects, runs through centre half forward, looks goalward, kicks to the goal square. Brown a hand on it to Henderson, and then spills through for a minor score, a rush behind. Melbourne's lead grows, it's out to 9 points. 3-4 to 2-1, early stages, second term. David at Tewkesbury in Tasmania. Cruel without crowds even on the wireless off the SMS. And shout out to Jeff and Sterling. Son and I just left a Gabba. Now who to play, of course. Ramifications for this. For Brisbane, the winner tonight will get the minor premiership and they'll host Brisbane in week 1.
Isaac Smith with a high kick. Dangerfield couldn't take the mark. Ground level Brayshaw was clean. Hand pass to Fridge, who kicks a snap inside 50. It's going to fall into the lap of McDonald, who dropped a sitter. And he's annoyed with himself as he stands up in the tackle. It'll be tossed up inside attacking 50 for the D's. Stanley trying to make this ruck contest from standing inside the centre square. He lines up against McDonald. Stanley gets it down to Parfitt. Comes out wider to Buse. Nice dummy. Hand pass to Menegola. Menegola, low, long kick. Lever, the only man there. Takes an easy mark for the D's.
I know this is raised regularly. If Stanley wants to nominate from there, fine, but the umpire shouldn't wait for him to arrive before throwing it up as Lever goes back to May, kicks in the middle of the ground for Salem, and the shift is on. Out to the eastern side of the ground, under the Hickey stand. Langdon marks, kicks a high bomb inside 50. Stanley arrives late, whacks it out of play. Finds a safety at the boundary line and a throw-in.
No, I totally agree, and that's the AFL are talking a lot about speeding the game up and not giving players the opportunity to get back in defence and set up defensively, and then they wait for a ruckman to run 30 metres. It's on him to get back earlier, quicker. There's enough time there to get back and get there initially to get to that contest.
Boundary throwing inside 50 for Melbourne. It's now a ball up inside 50, 40 metres out from Melbourne's goal. At half forward, both rucks miss it. Stanley grabs it off the deck, shovels a kick out of defensive 50, but straight to Salem. It's coming back inside. He marks in that launch pad about 70 out, right half forward.
He wouldn't want the ball in anyone else's hands. He puts it to the top of the square, and there we go.
Mosdin.
Straight down the throat of Stanley. Stanley, good outletting kick to Dalhouse, who marks. Right half back for the Cats. They trail by 9 points. 4 minutes played. Second quarter on Grandstand AFL. Dalhouse runs the boundary line. Kicks. Smith couldn't get a run at it. Rowan from 4 deep made the spoil. Salem was looking for the hand pass, then with the kick straight into the ankles of Blitzarves, who gets it and then dropped it. He was carried to ground. The tackle lingered for a little too long, and Blitzarves with the free kick behind centre wing. Blitzarves pokes it back. Mark taken by Buse. Left at right half back rather.
So Buse is going to play on. He steps around Petrarca, then under pressure sprays his drop punt out wide, looking for Rowan, and it's out on the full. Free kick for Melbourne. Some decision as to who's going to get the free. It's going to go to Jake Bowie. He'll go back to Joel Smith anyway, who was queuing up to take it. Well, that's a dangerous ball. He goes short to Lever, spills the mark, centre half back, breaks the would-be tackle from Parfitt. Hand pass goes back to Petty, and Petty across the back line. Out to May underneath the scoreboard. Eastern side of the ground. He looks for Brown. He kicks it out as well. So we often see down here at Kardinia Park a few balls going out on the full, and the Cats will be able to pump it back inside 50. Free kick here. Left a half forward, between half forward and the outer wing.
Dangerfield with the ball in hand. Keeps it low, goes inside 50, over the head of Hawkins. Lever with a big spoil. Boundary line the favourite here, and carried over by Isaac Smith is Sparrow. Will have a ball in at the top of 50. Left forward pocket for the Cats. Heading towards the player stand end in this second term. Thrown back into play. Gordon Hawkins to do battle in the ruck. Hawkins tried to grab it. Didn't get clean possession, but it'll work out. It comes to Simpson via the Selwood hand pass. Then to the top of the square. Cameron takes a strong mark. Up high, took it at its highest point. There wasn't much that Petty could do about that one.
It was well done Simpson there. Just bought himself that little bit extra time to come back onto his right boot. We saw big Jerry Cameron last week in good marking form. He's carried that through today. Nice grab at the top of the goal square.
In he comes, 15 out, slight angle and delivers. Kicks the first for the Cats in this second quarter. They bring the margin back to 3 points in favour of the D's.
You mentioned he was good last week. It was the highlight of his game, which you've obviously seen a lot of him, but I think I've seen enough of him play that probably not a strength of his game, but he just read that off the boot a lot better. He knew that Simpson was arguably kicking the ball off one step once he sold the candy on his left in that pocket about 40, 45 out, so he knew the ball wasn't going to travel to the line, so just read it better off the boot. Really good mark, which under a little bit of pressure, but he said Maisie that Petty could really do nothing.
Jacko and Bendigo off the SMS. Now that Brisbane are in the top 4, I'm going to back them to win the flag. They did come from a long way back. Remember they were
on the hype train.
Remember they were shut out of South East Queensland due to the coronavirus at the start of the season. They played all those games down in Melbourne and displaced. And Zach Bailey's goal leads in round 3. If he hadn't kicked that against the Pies, gee, they could have been 0-4, had him back home. So big sliding doors moment out of the middle. Stanley grabs it out of the ruck, kicks to centre half forward. Gee, May and Lever spoil one another. Pack forms underneath them as Lever becomes tackler here on Parfitt. Ump says, I'll have it. The ball up centre half forward for the Cats. Kicking to the Barwon River end in this second term. Back to 3 points, the margin Melbourne's way after it got out to a game-high 9. What are we now? 8 minutes into this second term. Petrarca gets the clearance, kicks in the middle of the ground. Sparrow, hand pass banking board. Jackson got his tackle a little high, said the umpire. As he locks up Lockie Henderson and a free kick for the Cats alongside the centre circles. Melbourne by 3. And Henderson goes short and wide out to Cam Guthrie.
Guthrie out wider still to O'Connor, who takes the mark. A couple of kicks from goal here. He's called to play on and goes with about a 5 metre bounce pass that finds Colin Jasny. He's forced to kick quickly into the pocket just over the head of Close. Might have got a fingertip on that, so the D's are forced to play on here. It was Petrarca with the looping hand pass over the top to Bowie. Turned over, back to the top of the square. Gordon crashes the pack. Where are the numbers out the back? The Cats have a couple. Cameron was quick. Hand pass, left forward pocket to Hawkins, who just got his hand pass away. Looking for Cameron Smith. Beats everyone to the boundary line. Joel Smith, that is, of the D's. And he's pushed over for a throw-in left forward pocket for Geelong.
3 point game. High stakes. The winner walks away with the minor premiership, and the loser avoids playing a team on their home patch, which we won't see too much in week 1 of the finals. It'll be Port Adelaide hosting the loser at Adelaide Oval in all likelihood from the boundary throw-in. It's Lever, hands it to Joel Smith. His kick smothered. Ricochets away to Cam Guthrie to Myers. Took on 2. Coughs it up. Hand pass away to Harms. Hurried ball out to the outer wing. Jackson can't mark. Spills down to Brown. He's tackled. Oh, he threw it. Free kick going Henry's way. So the Cats lock it in their front half.
Henry inboard to the centre circles where Henderson takes it on his chest. Short kick laterally. O'Connor takes it himself. O'Connor again goes extremely short. This time called to play on. Isaac Smith thought about going long. Pulls the trigger short again. Menengola, he goes long. Straight to the top of the square. Where are the Flyers? Parfitt, who was going to jump over the top. Ball gets out the back. Leading everyone was Cameron. He had a fresh air shot and then socket through by Hawkins. He was the second man on the scene. Everyone overran it, and then poking it home like a striker in the penalty area was Tom Hawkins. We're going upstairs. The umpire's call is a goal, but I think it might have got under the fingertips here of the Melbourne defender who was diving across. There was Harms. I don't think he got low enough, quick enough.
There was no reaction from Harms. Well, there was a reaction, there was of disappointment, because I don't think he's claiming or felt like he's touched it, so surely the benefit of doubt and the ARC reviewer.
It was called a goal, wasn't it?
It was called a goal. I was afraid then that it was called touched.
Normally you see clubs set up for a behind, even if in a bit of doubt, but Geelong haven't set up for a behind as of yet.
So based on Harms' reaction and the players around them, I think it's clearly a goal.
Still waiting on review here from the ARC. They're obviously looking at this a number of times, so we've got 2 key angles. One is from the side. That's fairly hard to pick anything up.
Yep.
So as you can hear over the loudspeaker here at the ground, insufficient evidence will be umpire's call, and that is a goal for Tom Hawkins. His first of the evening, and after 12 minutes, the Cats take back the lead. 4-1-25, Melbourne 3-4-22. It's going to be that sort of night, you feel, the way this one's heading.
Well, Beach, a couple of times we're sitting up here with Geelong, just get it going. You're just allowing Melbourne to get stronger behind the footy. It took for my boy Sam Menegola to kick it long, surprise, surprise, and it was Parfitt who actually made contact with Gawn and just didn't allow him to clunk that ball down the line, get the ball to ground. I thought Jezza Cameron was going to run straight in and pop it through, but he's overran it, and following up was Big Tomahawk, and he snuck it under Jimmy Harms' hands, outstretched hands, and got one through for the Cats. And just a nice little goal there. I thought the D's have had most of the momentum here for the start of this second quarter, but a nice little snag there.
I don't think Geelong, they're not finding it that easy to just find a spare man or a bit of space in that forward 50. Melbourne are doing a really good job of setting up behind the ball, as we know they do.
Jackson, silver service down to Sparrow, kicks inside the forward 50, Gawn down there, can't take the mark. Pack forms behind him, centre half forward for the Demons. Gawn involved, and Henderson, the ball's held in and a ball up. Centre half forward for the D's. The other game, it's quarter time, by the way, at Docklands. Carlton by 7 over GWS. The Giants needing to win to lock up their place in the top 8. Although, given the results of the other games, position's looking a little safe regardless. From the ball up, Melbourne win it. Pickett puts a little kick inside 50. Henderson fumbles, tackled front on by Gawn and taken to ground. And a ball up again, 40 metres out, centre half forward for Melbourne. D's led it by 9 points earlier in the quarter. It's Geelong by 3 now, having kicked the last 2 goals of the game midway through the second term.
Gawn and Blitzarves in the ruck on that occasion. Gawn won it down again. Now Oliver slips through his hands. Out to Myers of the Cats. He kicks to Close. Right half back. Good mark. In front of Lever. Close pokes it short to Smith. Isaac Smith of the Cats. His first season in Geelong. Looking for a top of the table finish. He pokes the ball back inside defensive 50. Mark taken by Kolajasny. And Kolajasny's going to go across the face of goal with his pass to Henderson. Methodical here by the Cats. Henderson out wide. That just hung in the air a little. Allowed Rivers to come in and make the spoil. Langdon happy to see it over for a boundary throw in, and the D's have forced a stoppage. It'll be thrown in 65 metres from the Melbourne goal.
Just on that Carlton GWS game, it is a good idea for the Giants to win, because if they don't, and Essendon and Fremantle win their games tomorrow, the Giants won't make it. So it's take care of business tonight. It would be in their best interest just to get a wriggle on against the Blues, so a 7-point deficit early in the second term there.
Bit of feeling in that game, obviously, for the Blues as well. Club that's under pressure, coach.
Eddie Betts.
Yeah, so a bit happening there. Watch this space.
Got 3 stoppages here, same area of the ground. High half forward for Melbourne. D's to the city end here in this second term. Midway through it, Geelong lead by 3. From the ball up, Blitzarves doing some of the ruck work, wins it down. Again, a pack right at his feet. Oliver involved, of course. Umpire lets them play. Dangerfield, almost like a crocodile roller, goes over a couple of times, and eventually the ump says, I'll have it. So for the 4th time in the same spot, between wing and half forward for the Demons, we got a stoppage.
Let's see if we can get out of here. Dangerfield tackled immediately. He hand passes to no one in particular. Langdon gets onto it. High kick inside 50. Fritsch came from a long way back. Ball spoiled away from him. A chance now for the Cats with numbers at ground level. Myers, front of that stoppage, is able to poke the pass out, looking for Dangerfield. Bowie's taken down by Dangerfield. Now Dalhouse, was he taken high? No. Another ball up. Hawkins emerged with it a little too late after the umpire's whistle had gone. Ball up inside the centre square.
Geelong by 3. From the ball up, Oliver tries to get it to Petrarca. Sits okay for Bowie. Hand pass over to Harms. Gets it out of the centre square. Kicks deep to McDonald and a one-on-one. Edged underneath it. Henry mops up for the Cats. Hands it to Henderson under pressure from Pickett. Kicks it to half-back. Brayshaw gets in a tangle with Lever, and in the end the ball spills out of play. Half forward for the D's. And there's the reaction. Outside you can hear the players speaking among themselves. Of course, no crowd in attendance, and unfortunately regional Victoria back under lockdown, joining the capital. 17 minutes into the second term, it's Geelong by 3.
Jackson with the clearance, hand pass to Salem, off one step, inside 50, no mark. Yes, almost the juggle taken by McDonald. Almost had enough of it. Dropped it at the last moment. Taken down in a tackle is Buse. He's going nowhere. Ball will be thrown up 30 from the Melbourne goal. Chris Scott standing up in the box. You don't often see that from coaches. He's animated, but rarely do you see them stand and address different people. O'Connor with the clearance. It's not a great one, though. He hits Bowie of the D's on the chest, who now can load up and go back inside 50. Spins the ball in his hand. Comes in the field of play and then kicks long to the top of the square. Uncontested mark taken by Henry. No one getting a run at that from the red and the blue.
Henry flares it across the goal face. Henderson marks back pocket, plays on, kicks out towards the outer wing. They all miss it, skids through to Rivers. Slick hand pass to Petty, takes on the oncoming tackler in Parfitt, and he's caught. Parfitt does very well and wins another free for holding the ball. Kicks inside the centre square for Geelong to Selwood. He continues the shift. Out wide to Dangerfield, runs onto it on the bounce. Burns straight past Harms. Hand pass out wide to Simpson. From 55 out, centering kick, top of the goal square. Holmes can't get there. Falls down to Sparrow. His hurried kick inside the centre square for Melbourne.
It's a barrel, not marked by anyone. Front and centre, though, roving was Petrarca. Hand pass to Harms, to Viney, to Neil Bullen, who had to spin out of two tackles. And the umpire signalled, I thought, in the back, and then I think he changed his decision, didn't blow the whistle, and then blew it late and paid holding the ball.
Oh, I've never seen an umpire hesitate like that.
Matty's
he made three decisions within the space of 0.5 of a second.
Do you think someone literally the out of area
Zone,
out of zone boundary
Possibly.
was in his ear?
I think you're right.
His first call was right, though. It was holding the footy. You should have just gone with that.
That was extraordinary.
Or might you say the other way, that out of zone said in the back and he's gone no.
Yeah. Selwood with the free kick. He goes short to Buse, who takes it on halfway. Out wider still to Henderson. Just to give you a picture of the field, every player is inside the attacking half for the Cats. Henderson looking to left half forward, and that's a good kick to find Henry. Now he's trying to pick a pass and a way through this Melbourne defence.
So the 22-year-old Jack Henry just loads up, kicks into the pocket. Hawkins takes a chest mark. How was that allowed to happen? May and Lever both in the drop zone. May went underneath it. Hawkins held Lever out of the way and hugs it to his chest.
You don't see it very often where May, one, loses a one-on-one, or sorry, I'll start again, where he's in a one-on-one where he doesn't get support, and then two, if he is, where he loses it. Lever just got caught up and just couldn't get there to the fall of the ball.
Hawkins takes down the big two and then threads the goal from out wide. He's second to the night. The Cats lead by 9 points, their biggest lead of the evening. Tom Hawkins goaling at the 20-minute mark of the second term. Geelong 5-1-31, Melbourne 3-4-22. The 4-hour experts, Jess Webster on the boundary.
Yeah, just a bit of a pit stop here for Mark Blicavs on the bench. The trainer just sprinted all the way into the rooms to bring him out a fresh pair of boots. And you're probably hearing it in the sound effects, Mike, for the entire night so far. But so much voice down here in the boundary line. A lot of messages being relayed off the bench. Don't need to remind our listeners what's at stake here for these two teams tonight, but the intensity is definitely up down here.
Yeah, I certainly know what voice that is. It's my old teammate, Sean Grigg. I can hear him from up here. I never missed him. Always knew where he was when we were playing together, and you can hear him out there now. But it's another slow build-up, wasn't it, from the Cats? But they're getting the job done, methodical. Get it to the big boy. He'll do the work for you down in the front end.
24 inside 50s to the Ds, 19 to the Cats, yet they have a 9-point lead, Geelong. Good tackle by Parfitt out of the middle. Viney was forced to hand pass. Salem went out of midair. Adkins dropped the mark for the Cats. He'll get it at ground level, though. He's looking for the runner. That's Menengola. He kicks long inside 50. Joel Smith. It bounces towards him. Dangerfield might have got him in the back. Umpire wave play on. D's have support there through May to Lever. This is all by hand to Langdon to Sparrow. He becomes the kicker. It's a high one. Not great for McDonald, who has to back into Henry. And then he sees it punched away from him and over for a boundary thrown right on halfway. Melbourne 3-4-22. The Cats 5-1-31 after 21 minutes in this second quarter.
So Cats by 9 here at Docklands. We're only 7 minutes into the second term. Carlton by 5 against GWS. The Giants win tonight. They shore up their spot in the final series. From the boundary throw-in, comes down to Sam Simpson. The Cats hand pass to Myers, away to Dalhouse to Holmes. Quick hands inboard to Rowan. Tackled straight away. Petrarca takes him to ground. And a ball up inside the centre square. Melbourne led by 9 earlier in the quarter. It's the Cats by 9 now, with all the momentum, having kicked the last 3. From the ball up, still no clean possession. Cam Guthrie eventually hands it to Selwood. Hand pass to Parfitt. Between wing and half forward. Kicks inside 50. Hawkins goes down at the back. Says play on. Here's Dalhouse. Got it out to Holmes, to Rowan. Sold the dummy. Banana outside right boot. Off target. He misses. And for the first time tonight, the margin's at double digits. Geelong by 10. 5-2 Melbourne 3-4. 22 played second term.
May to kick the ball back in here for the D's. Salem makes a lead. Left back pocket. That's ignored. He's going to go longer instead. High kick. The target is McDonald, and he almost took it from 3 deep. Henderson, ball bounced into his chest. He's wrapped up immediately by Viney. Ball up to take place between wing and half forward. Bajcevic clears away for himself. Jackson and Stanley to do the rucking for their respective sides. Selwood tries to get a hand pass away, did just to Guthrie, to Isaac Smith, and again another fumble. His hand pass to Dalhouse, fumbles over for a boundary throw-in.
He's got the fumbles tonight, Dalhouse, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Numerous times I said good players don't fumble twice in a row, that's for sure.
So he's not a good player.
Well, that's a constant theme.
It is. Goalless in his last 4 games. He's kicked 1 already tonight on his 29th birthday as well, Luke Dalhouse. Well, that's a blatant throw. Just an absolute offload from Selwood. Chucks it out to Guthrie. Hand pass back to Parfitt. Kicks inside 50 again. They all miss it. Flying. Hawkins waiting at the back. Turns and snaps. He's kicked the last 3 in the game. Hawkins absolutely pumped with that, and so he should be. Geelong by 16 points. Time on second term. The Cats 6-2. Melbourne stuck on 3-4. Brendan Goddard, Brett Delidio, Grandstand AFL.
No, it's just Geelong's defenders just holding... Geelong's forwards just holding Melbourne defenders accountable. There was a 3-on-3 head of the ball. Again, Lever's accountable. I think it was Petty and May maybe collided in the air, but they're there. Like, there's a 3v3. There's no real space, time and space to run and support. Sag off. They're all in the contest. So, doing a really good job. Yeah, it was just a little bit of body work from your mate Jerry Cameron just on the front there, just on Petty, just to push him under the ball a little bit. But all 3 of them are there. All 3 of them are accountable, making them accountable, Geelong's forwards. And again, Tomahawk just reading it better in the air.
First time I've heard ABBA after a goal as well. Yeah. Boomed around the stadium.
There's some good tunes, aren't we?
DJ having a little bit of fun tonight with no one to play to. Selwood with a free kick in the middle. Short kick finds Dangerfield, who takes off, gets to the point of the centre square, kicks high and long all the way to the goals and carries everyone. It's through for another. The Cats are on fire. They have the last 5. 25 minutes gone, second term on Grandstand AFL, and they've blown this game wide open. 7-2-44. Melbourne 3-4-22. Well, just no one wanted to tackle him or go near him.
That's right. The seas just parted, didn't they? He was like, "Oh, you're not going to come here. I'll go a little bit further."
Big Maxie was on the mark, so he just went, catch you, mate.
I'm not. I saw young James Harms try to take him on down here, and Paddy's just like, "You're not tackling me, mate. I'm going straight over the top of you," and he did. But no one came at him, so he's like, "Right, I'll take a little bit more ground." And right, I'm in range now. And
I was just pointing. That was just going nowhere else, but he was trying to have a shot. Was it
those good kicks and guys on the run that like to pin the ears back and set sail from outside 50. He's one of those guys, and when he hits them sweet, they stay hit.
Colder night, that wouldn't have carried, as far as we know.
So they've doubled Melbourne's score now. After trailing by 9 earlier in the quarter, it's Geelong by 22. Back in the middle, Selwood inadvertently soccers it to the favourite. Dangerfield wanted to load up again, decides to hand it off. Through Dalhouse, on to close, another one. That's 6 straight for the Cats. They are laying waste to the Demons here at Cardinia Park. 27 travelled in the second term. Geelong turning it up. 8-2-50. Melbourne 3-4-22. Brendan Goddard, Brett Delidio, Grandstand AFL.
Oh, centre square bounce goals, stoppage goals.
I thought it was going to be 2 from 2 there from Danger.
Nearly, but that's one of the good things about the 6v6 or 6v6v6. but they got the time and space to run in because everyone's held accountable forward of the ball. So therefore, they're reluctant to come forward to apply that pressure like they did last one, and even then they were a little bit reluctant, but they had to come in the end, which forced the overlap, which then Dalhouse found time and space, and then Close just with the overlap run, little handball and easy finish in the end from it's probably 25 metres out, practically straight in front. So they were disappointed with that, particularly with Gawn in there. Stanley putting up doing a good job just to be competitive.
Here they go again, the Cats, another clearance. This time Holmes goes inside 50. Floating across the front and just plucking it at its highest point was Rowan. Almost uncontested in front of that pack.
This is momentum at its finest, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you've got a run on in the centre, you've got to cash in, and they are doing just that, the Cats. Everyone's feeling like they're on fire. Gary Rowan just lead out. Max Holmes lacing him out. Sticky mitts, catching at highest point. Keeping all those defenders down there very accountable, not allowing any sort of sag off.
One behind earlier this quarter. This for his first major of the evening. In he comes and squeezes it through. 9 goals now for the Cats. That is 7 in their second term to 1. 9-2-56 Geelong. Melbourne 3-4-22. And this is getting out of hand very quickly for the D's.
Well, I think just at the minute it's almost like they're just too good. There'll be a couple of little things.
They've raised the bar, haven't they?
Yeah, there'll be a number of things that we can't really assess at the minute because we're calling the games in motion, but around the centre square bounce stuff about how they're getting out so easy. A number of times. It's a bit in the contest. Dangerfield just swooping on the ball 2 times in a row is just arguably too good, too fast, bursting away from the stoppage. But there was Selwood there over to Holmes, finding a little bit of time and space just outside the centre circle there, right in the middle of the ground. So I think just structurally they could do a couple of different things, but like that mark there, just drifting in front of the pack. The overlap came before, just had to come forward to defend. They're just too slick at the minute.
They've kicked 4 goals in 4 minutes. Melbourne can't stop the bleeding. Gawn grabs it out of the ruck. A Polyfarmer hand pass to centre half forward. Harms on the end of it. Kicks inside 50. Bounces off Fritch's chest. Ball ricochets into Geelong's hands. Here's Atkins. Hand pass to half back to Close. Away to Menegola. Goes long down the line for Geelong. Flirting with the boundary line. It's too wide out on the full. Melbourne will get it back right on halfway. Boy, it feels like it's happened quickly. So from time on in this quarter, they've kicked 5 straight. They've kicked the last 7 in the game. And from 9 down earlier in the term, Geelong lead by 34.
The red time goals.
Since Chris Scott stood up, I don't know what he said, but it's worked.
Here's Jake Bowie, the teenager, who goes along to half forward. Gone down there, fisted away at the back from Blitzarves. Now a second time over the boundary line, and we'll have a throw in. 70 out from Melbourne's goal. Meanwhile, the other game, which is being played 16 minutes into the second term at Docklands, Carlton by 13 over GWS. Giants must win to assure themselves a place in the final, so a 13-point lead for Carlton midway through the second.
Stanley down. Gawn gets it. Hand pass to Viney. Viney is snapped inside 50, taken on the bounce by Atkins. Hand pass to Simpson. Simpson off one step. That's too wide as well, out of bounds on the full. Now he'll take the free kick, or will it be Lever? Lever takes full advantage, picks the ball up, goes quickly to the top of 50. Fridge went at it with the one hand. Brayshaw roving, snap. That's too wide as well, out of bounds on the full. We've had about 3 and 30 seconds.
What's the record, you reckon, Corby? I'm looking at you when I ask that question.
There's
been so many out of bounds on the full.
Narrow ground. There's probably an excuse for Melbourne, but I just made mention of Reece Stanley being competitive. Head-to-head against Gawn, they're 16 hit-outs apiece, so something they've been exposed in the past and a weakness for Geelong, so bit of a positive and a bit of a pump up for Reece Stanley, doing a really good job against arguably the best ruckman in the competition.
Henderson long down the wing, Dangerfield flying through, spills the chest mark, Harms to Lever, away to Brayshaw, sells the dummy around Dangerfield, goes back to Gawn, long kick inside 50, Brown arriving late, can't mark, spills to McDonald, tries to feed the hand pass to Spargo, becomes tackler on Atkins, rolls him over and the ump says ball up. 25 out from Melbourne's goal. Geelong by 34 points, 7 straight goals in the game. So efficient going forward. Melbourne winning the inside 50 count from the ball up. Out it comes to Harms. He tries to throw it away to Spargo, looking to draw the free. Hump says nothing in that. Harms picks it up. The Ronnie Burns effort from the pocket. Can't bend it through. And in the end, it's a minor score. A rush behind off the boot of Cam Guthrie. So Geelong's lead back to 33. Cats 9-2, Melbourne 3-5. Latter stages here of the second term. It's 32 minutes old. There's still a couple of minutes on the game clock yet before halftime.
That was Melbourne's first score since the 2nd minute mark of this quarter. Cats working around the boundary. Kick smothered on its way to Rowan. It pitched in front of him and then bounced straight out. You can hear all the instructions coming from below too. That's Joel Selwood, I think, who's getting a rub down. Sounded like him anyway. Downstairs. Toss back into play. Gawn grabs it out of the ruck. Kicks off his left boot. Snap inside 50. Henderson is wearing his opponent like a glove. No separation there with McDonald. Petrarca emerges. Kick off one step. Almost got to Harms. He attacked it on the bounce. Buse is able to steady and gather and hand pass out wide into Kolajasny. Left back pocket. He was almost gone. Fritsch didn't make the tackle. Should have stuck. Kolajasny bought himself a bit of time. Kick to 30 metres out from his defensive goal. Isaac Smith takes the mark.
So it goes to Menegola and now out to Cam Guthrie against the boundary line. Still at half-back, short to close. They're right underneath us, as you can probably hear in the effects, Mike. He goes short in front of the interchange to Tom Hawkins. What a quarter he's had. 3 goals in the term. So Hawkins in his 299th game, up to 53 goals for the year. Perfect placement on his drop punt. Finds Guthrie through the zone. Guthrie straightens up, short to Menegola, so the slow ball up for the Cats. And Menegola's got it 70 out. Looks laterally to Izzy Smith, not 15, plays on, hand pass to Sam Simpson from 48 out, looks goal with his kick right to the line, almost thumped through, Cameron recovers it, pops it through right on the goal line. Jeremy Cameron, quick thinking, an attempted spoil from Lever. Cameron keeps it alive, chucks it on the boot and goals. A second for Jeremy Cameron. And Melbourne can't even concede a score at the moment. That's not a major. They wanted to concede a one-pointer. Cameron made sure there was 5 more to pay for it. Cats by 39 points. 10-2-62. Melbourne 3-5-23. 35 played in the second term.
Well, that was a pluck like he was in the gully back at Dartmoor, wasn't it? He just,
reflexes of a cat.
Yeah, just plucked that out of nowhere. Not bad for a big bloke, 6'5", on the goal line like that. Swing it back. Made sure it went onto the left boot, mind you. Didn't want to just drop it onto the right, the balanced leg. Had to get it back into play, in all fairness.
Review.
But you're right, Corb. Every score they have at the moment is a goal.
Ooh, I reckon he hit his studs. Back in the middle. Can Melbourne stop the bleeding? Gawn won it down, but the Cats are away again. Guthrie, hand pass to Smith, snaps inside 50. Bowie sliding in, takes the mark. Good defensive mark as well, and much needed 35 minutes into this second term. It's been a domination by Geelong. Bowie to the wing. Brown went up one-handed, didn't take it. Guthrie farms out the hand pass to Smith. And now to Blitzarves, who's taken over the boundary line in a strong tackle. Ball to be tossed in on halfway.
Considering we're not a visual medium, our commentary team does talk about haircuts an awful lot.
Yep.
I must say, Jake Bowie's inclusion in the team is making Clayton Oliver's hair look a lot more blonde.
Strawberry blonde.
Sort of more strawberry blonde. It's almost like an Auburn type look from Bowie.
I think Clayton puts a bit of lemon juice in it too.
Oh, that's a big accusation you're throwing around there, Swell Beach.
Lemon juice just lightens it up, doesn't it?
Jake Bowie's hair is strong ginger. Ball up here on the wing. Here's Stanley, whacks it forward, and here's our man Bowie, the 18-year-old, by hand away to Viney, gives it off to Langdon against the boundary line, kicks to half forward, arriving late Menegola, thumps it out towards the boundary line, it won't get there. Atkins turned inside out by Spargo, Menegola back for support, and the Cats work it out. Buse to Atkins, now away to Kolajasny, pressure handball into Melbourne's forward 50, Smith there first, and Isaac Smith's locked up by Brown right on the bell. What a devastating performance from the Cats as we ticked into red time, so time on in that second quarter. Geelong led by 3 at half time, which is 10, 15 minutes later, they now lead by 39 points. They kicked 6 goals in time on in that quarter. They've kicked the last 8 of the game, and from 9 behind, it's Geelong by 39 at the half. They're in the box seat to claim their second minor premiership in the last 3 years. Geelong 10-2-62, Melbourne 3-5-23. Cats by 39 points. The goal kickers, 3 for Tom Hawkins. They all came in that second term. 2 for Jeremy Cameron, 1 to Selwood, Rowan, Dangerfield, Dalhouse and Close. While for Melbourne, Viney, Pickett and Brown, they're 3 goal kickers. Melbourne by 2 points at quarter time, Geelong by 39 at the half. Brendan Goddard and Brett Delidio. What a show from the Cats. What did we just witness?
Well, I said it's almost a flex. I said a lot can change in their quarter time break, and I highlighted that I felt like Melbourne it looked a lot more solid across the board, and then I think they kind of did in their first probably 5 minutes. Melbourne again, just getting their ball inside 50, locking in. The pressure was really good, and then talk about the floodgates opening. It was just, I don't think Melbourne had any answers. I said, I think structurally just around that centre square bounce, they'd look at something right now. We can't pick it up and dissect it right now. We don't have the time, but I wish we could. But there was something going wrong in there because they got the ball out far too easy. Their setup, who was on Dangerfield, where they were ball watching.
Their scores from centre clears were massive, weren't they?
And just their ease at which they were getting them out, then being able then to get the ball inside 50, deep inside 50. And obviously they scored twice in a row, well 3 times actually, didn't they? First it was Danjo, who kicked the goal himself from 55. Close got on the end of it from a centre square bounce, and then we saw Rowan take that great contested pack mark from another centre square bounce clearance. So it's almost, sometimes you look at everything from Melbourne's point of view, and I'm sure that assistant coaches and Goody are doing that right now at Melbourne, going, where did we get it wrong? Well, structurally probably around the centre square bounce, but everything else was just like they were just literally, it can be as simple as they were just too good. They were just too slick there for a 10-minute period.
Yep, I totally agree. We're just not seeing the Melbourne forwards even get a sniff, are we? But yet they've had 3 more inside 50s. But you look at the stat sheet, mate, and they've Jackson spent large majority of time down there. Fritsch, McDonald, Spargo, Brown, all at the bottom end. They've only had 3-4 touches each. They're just not getting a look. There's no clean ball movement. Usually, we know the Ds like to play fast and keep the ball in motion, but the Cats are just doing well enough to be able to, and they arguably, this is their home ground. They know how to play this ground really well. They defend the ground really well. So pressure on at the source, but then down the line, they're just not allowing, Brown or Jackson. McDonald looks like he's just come back from a couple of weeks off, just finding his way again. Good, he'll be good for the run, no doubt, going into the finals. But I think ultimately it's been all about the Cats, and I actually thought that the D's would win this game after what we watched them do to the Cats earlier in the year at the MCG. So I was very confident in how the D's have been set up, but they've been picked apart, haven't they? Like the Cats in their way, they've been able to just chip their way through, get...
was that early, and then probably...
they opened them up from the centre. That's a given. Like you're not chipping
hard
through there.
Yeah, that's right.
But then a couple of others where they went round the arc, and we're calling for them, get it in long, and then they get that 1v1 Tomahawk or 1v2 in the pocket.
Yep. Slow entry.
Another one where Menegola finally decides to pull the trigger and just bombs it in, end up getting a crumb soccer goal from Tomahawk. So it's...
Or even Jez's cat-like reflexes, like that's kind of uncanny. He just snaps it, and then he's there on the goal line too. That ball could easily just miss him. So a lot of I don't think Melbourne are doing a hell of a lot wrong. There's areas they could slightly improve, but again, I think sometimes as players, there's a number of games I remember one against Sydney where it was whilst I was playing for Essendon, I thought we were playing reasonably well. I think we'll kick the first 2 goals of the game, and then for that quarter, we walk off quarter time and it's like 7 goals to 2, and I was like, we actually played all right. They were just literally just too good, and everything that could go their way did go their way, kind of thing. And it's literally like, and how do you tell that to your players? It's like we're actually going all right, and all the indicators and stuff, and if it's there, all that, and it's like, and you're 5 goals down.
Yeah, centre bounce scores really hurt you in that sense. So it took for Max Gordon to grab it and absolutely hike it forward with a big handball to wrestle that a little bit of momentum back. But even still, the Cats, just their ability to open up the Ds and not allow them to get that drop off, which is what they've been so strong at Melbourne this year. So enticing, fascinating game for us watching. But the Ds would want to what they're doing wrong pretty quickly, I would have thought, come the start of the third quarter.
Had 30 more disposals in time on Geelong, 6 goals to nothing if you include that Hawkins goal he kicked right before we went into time on of that second quarter. 10 marks to 1, so only 1 mark after we went into time on for Melbourne in that second term. And as we said, 6 unanswered goals. They've kicked the last 8 of the game. Geelong, so from 9 points down, they lead by 39 at half-time. Should we be worried at all about Melbourne's backline? So it's been their strength, obviously, with May and Lever. It's not as if there's been an avalanche going forward. Yes, they've had nice entry inside the forward 50, but we've seen on a couple of occasions Hawkins been able to beat one of, if not both of them, at different times and goal. If you're a Melbourne fan, should you be worried a little bit by what we've seen from May and Lever down back tonight?
Well, not really, because you got to think about who they're playing against, and they're playing against arguably the best forward line competition. So
they like it one-on-one, don't they?
Yeah.
They love just bombing it in and giving them their forward the chance.
Yeah, so I think rarely do you find a team that... Rowan's obviously a bit smaller but plays that third tall, but he's legitimately can play as a tall. We often see him down the line here, creating a contest, pack marks. He's so good on the ground, so I don't think there's another team that boasts the likes of Tomahawk and Cameron as your 2 literally power forwards, and then you got Rowan as your third string, and then you throw in the one kind of resting
danger down there
mid, maybe Dangerfield or even Parfitt at times where he's mixing around, and then the 2 smalls getting the Close and Dalhouse. So it's a dangerous mix that opposition have to respect, and that's what they're doing at the minute. Apart from that ball that's deep in Melbourne's forward 50 where Gawn comes out as the ruckman, plays as a key defender, this frees up that spare loose, or the wicket keeper as we like to call it. Besides that, everywhere else across the stoppage slow play, Geelong's forwards are making Melbourne's defenders accountable.
Yes.
Yep. So 31 entries so far tonight for Geelong, and they've kicked 10 goals too. They blow the game wide open in the later stages of that second term. They've kicked the last 8. Geelong by 39 at the half. It's all happening around us. Brisbane winners by 38 points over West Coast. With 14 seconds to go, they went past the Dogs on percentage, so they'll get the double chance. As a result, they'll finish 4th. The Dogs will finish 5th. Some news coming out from Geelong radio tonight. Brian Cook, the chief executive of the Cats, saying that Geelong will play their qualifying final in Adelaide regardless of what happens tonight. So they'll either be the opponents for Port Adelaide or they'll host the Brisbane Lions. Now we know if they finish on top. So if they win tonight, we'll have a couple of qualifying finals in Adelaide. Geelong to play there next week regardless. Meanwhile, the other game which is on tonight just ticked into time on second term. Still Carlton. Blues by 7 points over the Giants. The Giants must win to shore up a spot in the finals and guarantee themselves an appearance next week in an elimination final. Carlton 6-6, GWS 5-5. Half-time here at Kardinia Park. Second half action not far away. It's been a big day news-wise. So let's see what's going on in the ABC newsroom.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. New South Wales authorities are clamping down on public health orders as the state hit a daily record of 825 new infections from COVID-19. Madrula Aman has more.
New South Wales Health Minister Brad Hazzard has placed blame for the state's continuing crisis on people breaching public health orders. One illegal party in Sydney's east has resulted in at least 16 positive cases. New South Wales police are also trying to track down the whereabouts of 27-year-old Anthony Karam, who was infected with COVID-19 but allegedly refusing to isolate. Images of Mr Karam have been published online.
6 police officers have required hospital treatment and more than 200 people have been arrested after a violent anti-lockdown protest in Melbourne's CBD. Phil Johnson reports.
Outnumbered police were forced to use capsicum foam spray as some of the more than 4,000 protesters pushed through police lines and lit flares. 218 people have been arrested, 236 fines issued, and 3 people are in custody for assaulting police. 1 person was also arrested for breaching their bail conditions. Police say every arrested protester will be fined more than $5,000 for breaching public health orders. 7 police officers were injured, 6 of them requiring hospital treatment for injuries, including 2 with suspected broken noses, 1 with a broken thumb and others with concussions. Another officer was treated for a cut to his neck. Police say investigations are continuing.
Meanwhile, Victoria's Premier Daniel Andrews has announced tougher COVID-19 restrictions for the state as it grapples with growing case numbers and a new cluster in regional Victoria. Here's Mary McDonald.
Regional Victoria has joined Greater Melbourne in lockdown. However, regional areas are exempt from the curfew. In further restrictions announced today, all childcare centres in Victoria will close except for children whose parents are authorised workers and can't be supervised at home. There'll also be changes to industries including construction, large distribution centres and abattoirs. It comes after the state recorded 61 new local cases as well as an additional 16 local infections which will be included in tomorrow's numbers. Health authorities are particularly concerned about the growing cluster in Shepparton in northern Victoria, with fears it may have already spread to other regional areas.
The federal government says the situation in Afghanistan is uncertain, dangerous and difficult after another evacuation flight of 80 people left the capital, Kabul. Here's our political reporter, Stephanie Dalzell.
Those on board the Australian-led mission included Australian and New Zealand citizens, as well as Afghan interpreters. It's the third Australian rescue flight out of Kabul, with more than 240 people evacuated from the capital since the Taliban seized the city last Sunday. Government frontbencher Stuart Roberts says rescue efforts have been hindered by extremely challenging circumstances.
With streets choked and issues, of course, with the change of power. So it's very uncertain. It is certainly dangerous.
He's urging anyone still in Kabul to remain in contact with the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade.
South Australian Independent Senator Rex Patrick is calling on the federal government to push against Australia's biggest trading partner and ban goods made with slave labour in China. A bill that would do that is expected to be debated in the Senate this week and is attracting bipartisan support. It follows reports of China's Uyghur Muslim minority being forced to work in labour camps. Senator Patrick says there's clear evidence of exploitation and Australia must stand against the practice.
Clearly slave labour taking place in Xinjiang in China. It's an oppression of the Uyghurs. What this bill does is requires customs to stop products at our border that have been made from slave labour.
Bolivia's former acting president has been charged with genocide over the deaths of people protesting against her rule 2 years ago. More from the BBC's Will Grant.
The year Janine Áñez spent in power as president was among one of the most turbulent in Bolivia's recent history. Amid serious questions over her legitimacy, there were numerous violent clashes between security forces and supporters of her predecessor, Evo Morales. In two events in November 2019, 20 people were killed. They have now been classed as massacres by the Organization of American States. That, in turn, has led the Attorney General in Bolivia to charge the former interim president with genocide, a charge which carries between 10 and 20 years in jail.
And Sydney's thrashed the Gold Coast by 87 points at Docklands to head into the AFL finals in form. Lance Franklin kicked 6 goals for the Swans in the 21-10 136 to 6-13-49 victory. You're up to date with the latest from ABC News.
What matters to you?
Definitely
my family's safety.
What affects you?
Right now, it's COVID.
Exams.
Lockdowns.
Health. Access to trusted news.
What inspires you?
Breakthrough.
Science.
Family.
Energy.
Music. Vaccine.
Home.
Heroes.
Future.
Stories matter. Trust matters. What matters is you. And what matters to you matters to us. ABC News. On your TV, radio, iView or the ABC News app.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Chance now for Spargo to Bardio to bend it round and he hit it beautifully. Never looked like missing. Great banana, and Viney has his first of the evening. Comes to Simpson via the Selwood hand pass. Then to the top of the square, Cameron takes a strong mark. In he comes, 15 out, slight angle and delivers. Straight to the top of the square. Where are the Flyers? Parfitt, who's going to jump over the top. Ball gets out the back. Leading everyone was Cameron. He had a fresh air shot and then socked through by Hawkins. He was the second man on the scene.
Kicks into the pocket. Hawkins takes a chest mark. How was that allowed to happen? May and Lever both in the drop zone. Hawkins held Lever out of the way and hugs it to his chest. Hawkins takes down the big 2 and then threads the goal from out wide. Hand pass back to Parfitt. Kicks inside 50 again. They all miss it flying. Hawkins waiting at the back, turns and snaps. He's kicked the last 3 in the game.
Short kick finds Dangerfield, who takes off, gets to the point of the centre square, kicks high and long all the way to the goals and carries everyone. It's through for another.
Sockers it to the favourite. Dangerfield wanted to load up again. Decides to hand it off. Through Dalhouse. On to close. Another one. That's 6 straight for the Cats. They are laying waste to the Demons here at Cadinia Park. From 48 out, looks Golwoodie's kick right to the line. Almost dumped through. Cameron recovers it. Pops it through right on the goal line. An attempted spoil from Lever. Cameron keeps it alive, chucks it on the boot and goals.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
It was a sharp bit of work from Jeremy Cameron, and that is the last of the game. That is 8 consecutive goals for Geelong after being 9 down start of the second term. They lead by 39 at half-time. What a statement. Even from time on in that second quarter, they kicked the last 6 goals in red time out of their 8. So 39 points, Geelong's lead. Something dramatic would have to happen from here to deny them the minor premiership. Brian Cook speaking on Geelong radio pre-game, saying that the final for the Cats will be played in Adelaide regardless, so they'll either be the visiting team for Port Adelaide, or if they earn the right to host one, Adelaide is their preferred venue. So expect the Cats and Power both to stage qualifying finals at Adelaide Oval next weekend. Half-time, by the way, at Docklands, Carlton by 1. So the Blues 6-6-42, GWS 6-5-41. And earlier today, the Brisbane Lions by 38 points. It doesn't sound overly dramatic over the West Coast Eagles, but with 14 seconds to go, they passed the percentage required to edge past the Western Bulldogs on the premiership table. Lions get the double chance. Dogs miss out. They face first up elimination. What do you think of all that, Chris Fagan?
To be honest, I thought we wouldn't win by enough to get up into fourth spot. I'd almost resigned myself to the fact that that's what would occur. But our boys, like they have had a habit of doing over the last 3 or so years, found a way to score pretty quickly, and in the end, it was never in doubt. I wish I believed that. That's not quite true. I sent a text around to the boys this morning, basically trying to explain what it was that we had to do, because I knew if they were anything like me, they'd be getting a lot of texts from people saying, how much do you have to win by tonight to get into the top 4? And so I didn't want them to be distracted, so I sent them a text with the basic maths. So they were aware of that. We didn't talk about it before the game or during the game, to be honest. I was more concerned that we just do our process, and I thought if we did our process well, that we'd be able to win by the margin that we needed to. As it turned out, it took a long time for that process to click in, but it did in the end, and we were much more direct and surged the ball much better in the last quarter, and in the end we got there. You just don't quite. It's out of your hands as a coach in that last 30 seconds. There's not much you can do. You're just relying on your players to find a way, and they did, fortunately.
So Brett Delidio, Brendan Goddard, it was a thrilling ending. We're watching the closing stages here at the ground, and this game actually waited for that to finish before this started. Third straight year Brisbane get a top 4 finish. They've won just one final in that time. How significant is that result for them to get the double chance and the Dogs miss out?
Oh, huge, isn't it? It was massive. I don't think anyone's been more on the edge of their seat with a team winning by 30 points.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the game. None more than you, Corbin. You were pretty happy with the result.
I was riding at home. Absolutely.
Why's that? It's the ramifications for our...
Red and black team's a little close to my heart, Liz, so you always cheer what's the best thing for your side this time of year.
The Eagles. I thought you were cheering for them to get
yeah, there's that too. Don't worry, mate.
That result was taken care of by that stage in the game. Cats by 39 here. Geelong 10-2-62. Melbourne 3-5-23. People in Perth will actually think that you guys are serious at some stage if you keep carrying on with that kind of behaviour.
What? Do you see us laughing?
Keep implying that I've got something against the West Coast Eagles.
The Eagles are bowing out, a team that, that if you don't follow them and you're from Perth, you obviously don't like them. So you don't even have to answer that. And the team that you barrack for is taking their position in the 8. So why wouldn't you be smiling like a Cheshire cat?
They got a bit of work to do yet, the Bombers. I'll be slick. Would you sleep well tonight if you knew that you had a crunch game tomorrow to complete the regular season, or would you be a little restless?
What? It depends how old I was.
Yeah, no, exactly right. Depends how old you were, whether you're comfortable in your ability to perform.
But 20, probably 17 to 23, probably not. Onwards, yep. Obviously.
Second half action upon us on Grandstand AFL. You with Andrew Mays. The Cats by 39.
Strange period as the players have been in position for about 2 minutes waiting for the start of this quarter. Dangerfield with the clearance.
They're waiting for us to finish, mate.
Straight down the throat of Lever. Lever, long over halfway. Jackson was up with one hand. Henry, though, his hand pass turned over to Oliver. Having a slip at the last moment was Spargo. Back to Oliver on hands and knees. Copped a bit of heavy contact as well. Parfitt out of midair. Gains about 25 metres up the boundary line. Close tries to keep it in. Lever carries it out for a boundary throw-in. Right half forward for the Cats. Big margin at half-time. 39 points. After early in the second term, Melbourne led by 9. Cats in full control here. From the clearance, Petrarca, short kick. Spargo, one-on-one with Atkins. He becomes the tackler. Parfitt went to ground, had a fumble, as did Petrarca coming the other way. Viney didn't. He had a rip from his hands, though, by Selwood. Both of them weren't letting go of it. Another stoppage, a ball up 5 metres inside the boundary, 70 from the Cats' goal.
The Cats last won the minor premiership in 2019. They made it to the prelim, obviously, that year before being defeated by Richmond, the eventual premiers. And from the stoppage, the ball worked forward by the Demons and out of bounds again, though, right on halfway. So the Cats won minor premierships in 19, 08, 07, 92, 80, 54 and 53. So the last 7 times they've been the minor premiers, they've converted that into a premiership only once. That was back in 2007. They looked destined for another minor premiership. With a win here tonight, Melbourne needed something dramatic to happen for them. They're 39 down, and again we got another stoppage as Oliver's hand pass ends up with Langdon, and he's out of play.
Still plenty of fumbles at the start of this second half.
The Jew might be setting in a little more. Or
couldn't be.
Shot down to Jess.
From the boundary throw-in. Here's Dangerfield, knocks it towards the advantage, though, of Salem of the Demons. Hand pass away to Langdon. He runs and carries now in front of the Hickey stand and hits up Ben Brown, who marks just forward of the wing. We will get down to Jess momentarily.
Yeah, guys, it has definitely gotten cooler down here, and I will say, look, there is a little bit of dew on the ground. I'll concede that slightly, but I still think it's perfect conditions. You can't get much better, so I think they're just going to live their game.
Good kick from Brown, straight to Jackson, who takes it on his chest. This will take his best. He'll have to kick from outside 50.
Been in good form, goal-kicking wise, Maisie, hasn't he? Been multiple the last couple of weeks, I think, so he's backing himself. I don't mind that, young bloke.
In comes Luke Jackson. 15 goals this season from his 20 games. He'll kick from 52. The D's badly need this. Has it got the journey? Not quite. Touched right on the line. Through for a rushed behind. 3 minutes gone. Third quarter on Grandstand AFL. Cats by 38.
If you missed the dew conversation earlier, Brett Delidio did suggest there may have been some dew, and Brendan Goddard and Jess Webster weren't having any of that. No excuses for the players. As the kick out marked by Atkins in the back pocket goes to a dangerous one-on-one. Melbourne win it back. Here's Brayshaw, 70 out, pokes his pass into the pocket, and Cozzy Pickett spills it. The ball's spinning him sideways, couldn't hang on to it, spills down to Fritsch. He's tackled, taken out of bounds. And a drop mark from Cozzy Pickett and a boundary throw-in, 35 out from Melbourne's goal.
Stewie Jew's definitely out there, isn't
Oh, is it? Oh, it is now.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Cats by 38 early in the third.
And then he takes this one pretty cleanly off the pack. Then he's dispossessed. Hand pass slewed off the side of his fist and out for a boundary throw-in. Right forward pocket. He's into attack. 4 minutes played in this third term on Grandstand AFL. The lead 38 points in favour of the Cats. Jackson leads the way. Won it down, but it's going to spill out of bounds again before anyone could get there, including Viney, who was closest to it to see it over. Another throw in, this time 55 around from the Melbourne goal.
Clayton Oliver, 21 disposals, chief possession getter on the ground. Henderson leads the way for the Cats with 18. From the boundary throw in here. Jackson in nice position, gets a hand on it, spills down though to Menegola of the Cats, tumbles a kick into the middle of the ground. Joel Smith knocks it away. Smith though in the other direction for, that's Isaac Smith for the Cats. He's lost it. Here's Langdon, hand pass to Bowie. Bowie kicks out wide to Spargo. who takes the mark, and that launch pad between wing and half forward pokes it into the pocket. Brown arriving late and getting back. O'Connor thumps it out of play, so a throw-in. 40 out from Melbourne's goal. Half-time, by the way, at Docklands. Carlton by a point over GWS, so 6-6 to 6-5. Giants must win to guarantee themselves a spot in the finals.
Ball thrown back in. Petrarca missed with the fist. Oliver, hand pass to Pickett, who went low, looking to draw the free kick. Umpire wave play on. Ball popped out at the last moment. Dangerfield to Atkins, who's taken in a strong tackle. That should be holding the ball. It is. Oliver got him.
If you duck, isn't that prior opportunity?
Yep.
Okay.
So Oliver has it 52 from goal. Lever's out wide. He's fairly central here, Clayton Oliver, looking to kick inside 50. Dangerfield going back with a flight, takes a strong mark. It was a free kick regardless. Brown got into his back. So Dangerfield right back pocket to take the free kick for the Cats.
What do you think of that option, Lids?
Surprising, considering you've got two blokes that are over 200 down there. Give him a chance.
And kick from Dangerfield out wide, trying to get it to Isaac Smith. He was infringed upon, and his arms chopped by Cozzy Pickett.
Not in a rush, is he? Is he?
No.
He's just dawdled over there to get that.
Is he?
32-year-old Isaac Smith, one of the 9 30-year-olds in Geelong's team tonight. They've been the oldest team all year. And the senior Cats look like they're going to finish the regular season on top of the ladder. Long kick down the wing. Oliver had it, lost it, dispossessed, spills to Selwood. Hand pass out in front of Close is a good one in the long sleeves. Worried out of it by Spargo. Melbourne with the numbers. So through the hands of Petrarca, trying to link up with Salem, has a fumble, puts himself under pressure, goes back by hand to Lever. And Lever measures his pass to Petrarca. Bit happening off the ball. The umpire says advantage applied. Dangerous kick to a one-on-one. Cutting board wanting to find Viney. Not a good kick. Comes to Henry of the Cats. Hand pass to Stanley. Kicks a spiral out to half forward and Close. Good enough to mark it in front of Bowie. He goes short to Myers. Myers wide at right half forward against the boundary line. He's 55 out. Cats by 38. Myers puts it into the path for Cameron, who hits up, can't complete the mark. Down to Joel Smith, now to Salem, his kick smothered.
Ricochets luckily though to Lever, hand pass to May, snap around the corner outside of defensive 50. Dangerfield took it on the centre, a second attempt, shrugged the tackle, kicked a floater off his left. Straight down the throat though of Viney, who takes it on his chest. Viney, 20 metres out from his defensive goal. Has Lever in the back pocket. Goes a little more centrally. Poor kick. Selwood chopping in front. Didn't complete the mark. Dalhouse. Hand pass to Dangerfield. How easy is that? Lowered his eyes. Hit up the 15-metre pass. And Hawkins takes it 40 from goal. Costly turnover from Jack Viney in the back half there. That was all too easy for the Cats going back inside 50.
It's a bad one too when you're a defender and off a direct turnover. No fault of your own, you just caught out. The turnover comes and your man finds the ball with an easy, or not easy shot, but a shot straight in front. It's pretty flattening.
He's already got 3 tonight, Tom Hawkins. He comes in for goal number 4 and knew it was going over the goal umpire's hat the moment it left his boot. 8 minutes played, third quarter on Grandstand AFL. The margin 44 points in favour of the Cats.
It wasn't sure whether that kick just didn't have enough oomph into it, Beach, to get out there and give Maxi Gawn a chance to run and jump at it. Saw Joel Selwood float across the front. Probably could have taken the mark on a dry day. It's a bit dewy out there, so it just slipped through his hands. But it was good clean up by Lucky Dalhouse on the deck. Held it off to Dangerfield, and he just had plenty of time. Almost could have waltzed through to 50 and had a shot himself, but lowered the eyes, hit up the big chest of Tom Hawkins. He's been in great goal-kicking form. When it's in his hands, he rarely misses, or hasn't missed that many this year, has he? Kicking pure.
Metallica on your soundtrack coming down, Lids?
It certainly was. About to mention that as well.
I have heard some of the music you roll with in the car. 54 for the year for Tom Hawkins, so only 4 behind Harry Mackay. He'd need to have a big quarter and a half if he is to catch H. Out of the middle come the Cats again. Guthrie hands it to Menegola, then cuts out his kick. Tackled as he disposes of the footy, and Guthrie puts it out on the full. So Rivers will take the free half back for Melbourne. Geelong by 44 points. They've kicked 9 straight goals after Melbourne led by 9 points early in the second. Here's Rivers, who's had a really good year. The second-year Demon goes long down the wing. Henderson whacks it back inboard down to Myers. He's dumped in the tackle from Bowie, and the ump says it's a dangerous tackle. So Bowie concedes the free, Myers to take it.
It wasn't a great kick by Myers. Slewed off the side of the boot to Colin Jasny. He takes it in the centre circles, flares it out wide to Isaac Smith on the wing. Isaac Smith looking for the switch across the face, across half back. He finds Henderson. Henderson goes short to Buse, just forward of centre wing. So again, happy to take the short kick. Buse goes very short to Colin Jasny, who marks inside the centre square. Called to play on. Fritsch closes down his space. He goes out wider still to Smith. Still inside the centre square. Now attacking from right half-back.
Everyone presses up, makes the ground a little larger as Isaac Smith down to half-forward. Lever arriving late, doesn't get there. Henderson competes, spills to close though. The 1-2 with Jeremy Cameron. Close along the boundary line, half forward, kicks it into Rivers, got the kind ricochet. Hand pass out to Henderson, straightens up, Gawn and Guthrie, and the bigger man wins out. And Max Gawn takes the intercept mark, top of the defensive goal square. Long kick to Fritsch and a 2-on-1. Blitzarves punches it away. Half forward for the Cats. Metangola to Blitzarves. Hand pass along the boundary line. And Neil Bullen whacks it out of play. So a throw in 60 out from the Cats' goal. Geelong by 44 points, 11 played third term. Meanwhile, half-time at Docklands, it's Carlton who lead the Giants by 1.
Melbourne led by 9 points early in the second term. If you're just joining us, Holmes on hands and knees, hand pass. Didn't quite make its way to Myers. Oliver picked it up. His kick up and down the mine shaft. Gawn went the fist, cleared the immediate area. Parfitt onto it though for the Cats. Hand pass to Atkins, who's backtracking. Lovely dummy, gets around Jackson and spears in a low ball to the chest of Cam Guthrie. Guthrie inboard, it's risky. Colin Jasny was caught looking at Jackson coming the other way. Got through to O'Connor, who farmed a hand pass out to Selwood, who came through that contest extremely strongly. Dangerfield tried to get out of the Jackson tackle, forced a hand pass. O'Connor didn't get a hand pass away. It fell to Guthrie. Now a hand pass to Selwood. Kick around the boundary. Favours Lever, who takes the one-on-one mark against Close.
Short to Oliver. And Oliver marks half-back. Possession 25 coming up for Clayton Oliver. The 7 clearances, 4 tackles. Been busy again tonight. Goes all the way across to the other back flank to May. Oh, I don't know who that was meant for. He turns it straight over on his drop punt. Henderson takes the intercept mark, goes long to Hawkins, one-on-one. May tries to spoil, spills at the feet of Hawkins. His hand pass straight to Oliver. A little casual trying to dispose of it. Tackled. And he's been picked for deliberate. No. As Oliver was tackled as he was kicking by Hawkins. The ball slipped out of play. The Cats get the free and they put a hot footy back inside the attacking arc. Ump says play on. Bowie collects halfback. Hand pass under pressure to Neil Bullen. Takes them on. Got it out to Rivers and now Langdon off the back flank.
Langdon off the outside of his boot. Colin Jasny tries to intercept. Spilled it on the first occasion. Then paddled it in front of himself. Out wider. Langdon happy enough for that to go out of bounds. Selwood. That was as deliberate as the last. Deliberate out of bounds paid. Be a throw in on centre wing.
Well, both times they had a teammate within the vicinity. And as you may mention, Oliver's under serious pressure and tries to kick it to his teammate and it misses him by 2 metres.
Gawn wins it out of the ruck. High kick towards half forward. No mark taken. Pickett at ground level. Coming the other way, abused. Pickett picked his pocket though. Hand pass over the top to Jackson. Back to Pickett. Left it behind when he needed to keep going. Big tackle over the top. Pickett dives in. That ball not going anywhere at the top of 50. Spargo strong on Atkins. They both get to their feet. Just pulling up a little ginger too with the shoulder as well from that tackle, Oliver. We'll keep an eye on that.
Geelong have kicked 9 straight goals in the game. From the ball up, close, hand pass away to Dangerfield. Missed his boot with the ball trying to clear. Now pack forms half forward for Melbourne. We'll have the ball up again. Under lights, cool night at Kidinya Park. Temperature around 8 degrees. Unfortunately, regional Victoria back in lockdown, so very quiet night in the city. As it is across the state. Free kick from the stoppage. Oliver takes the advantage, runs into the open goal, and Clary puts it through on the run from 40 out. And finally, they break the streak. The 9 consecutive goal run comes to an end. Melbourne with their 4th. It comes 15 minutes into the 3rd and comes more than a quarter and a half since their last. Melbourne 4-6-30, Geelong 11-2-68. Cats by 38, Brendan Goddard, Brett Delidio, 15 played, 3rd term.
We'd have to be sneaking into votes contention, I would have thought, Beach. She's had the 27 now. 1 goal, 1. Not looking at your notes or anything like that. I'm just putting it out there that I think he's been
he's
arguably the D's best.
Easily the D's best player.
Yeah.
He's everywhere at the minute too. We just saw him here in the back half for Melbourne. Obviously, he's got the initial switch kick, got caught up in the play early, got that deliberate out of bounds in the back pocket, and then we've seen him follow, obviously being an on-baller, you follow the ball, but at least he's getting back in defence to help his team, and then being back around the ball, pushing forward, playing his role perfectly.
Viney tried to win the clearance. Free kick goes the way this time of Sparrow, who'll drive the D's back inside 50 again. Who can get a run at it? Pickett stays down. Brown almost took it on the second attempt. Harms comes through. He's wrapped up immediately. 3 Cats, Henderson, Blitzarves and Adkins all tackle him together. Ball going nowhere. Stoppage inside attacking 50. Tossed up. Socket away from that contest. Holmes will lead the race here. Happy for it to go out of bounds. He sees it for a throw in. 45 from the Melbourne goal. Jess Webster downstairs.
You mentioned Clayton Oliver pulled up a bit ginger after the contest. He came off after kicking that goal. The trainers came over to him and he said, nope, I'm fine, and just brushed him off straight away.
Thanks, Jess. Boundary throw in. McDonald grabs it out of the ruck. Haven't called his name a heap. Kicks to the top of the goal square. Brown the target. No mark. Spills down. Brown still chases after it. And in the end, it bounces off the base of the behind post. So we'll have a boundary throw in. Big Ben Brown, long way down, trying to pick that up. And a throw in deep forward for Melbourne.
Deliberate.
That's what I think Paddy Dangerfield was appealing for.
Jeez. So from the throw-in, hot spot for the D's. McDonald palms it in front of Petrarca, went without it. Harms passing through, knocks it into open space, side of the stoppage. Petrarca hand pass to Spargo, across the half-forward line, slips straight through the hands of Rivers. Holmes by hand to close, away to Selwood. His hand pass out wide, it won't matter, he was pushed in the back. And Joel Selwood will get the free at half-back for the Cats. He is number 1 in the competition, Maisie, this won't surprise you, for free kicks differential. So he's received 23 more than he's given away this year, Joel Selwood.
Again?
Which puts him number 1 in the league again, Beach.
Again.
Selwood back inside defensive 50.
Just puts his head where others fear.
To Adkins. And then to Guthrie, back defensively. And Guthrie goes short, left back pocket. Buse takes the mark. Buse. Oh, he wants to get around. Petrarca on the mark, ran himself into trouble, tried to hand pass through Petrarca's legs. But it's going to work because Atkins almost got away himself. Hand pass to Simpson, hand pass to Buse. He's tackled over the boundary line. That's an ugly passage of play for Jet Buse. A stoppage inside attacking 50, ball to be tossed in.
He does have a good sidestep, but you probably pick your prey, right? You see Petrarca in front of you and he's like, yeah, he's pretty cat-like on his feet.
First time Jed Buse played every game of a season as soccering inside 50 Rivers from the stoppage, but Geelong win it. Guthrie to Holmes. Away to O'Connor. Hooks a kick out of the defensive arc. Salem attempts the half volley. Didn't work out for him. Spills to Myers. Cats back with it. Hand pass to Cameron. All of a sudden the Cats over halfway going downhill. Cameron between wing and half forward. Kicks it deep. Look at the pace from Rowan. Never broke stride. Like a track star he marks. Runs into the goal square and bangs it 26 rows back. Cats by 44 points. Slick transition on a cold, damp night in Geelong. 44 points the Cats lead. Geelong 12-2-74. Melbourne 4-6-30. 19 played, third term.
That's the first time I've seen Paddy Dangerfield not look fast, yeah, electric. Gary Rowan he sniffed it, didn't he, going back towards goal?
Well, Dangerfield, sorry to see you, I looked down Dangerfield's goal side of his opponent. I don't know who it was. We said Smith. And Rowan was actually, Jackson was in front of Rowan. And then I looked down to look at Jeremy Cameron kicking it, and then I looked up and Rowan was the one getting on the end of it. We just saw in the replay he started a couple of metres behind Jackson and just put the burners on. Brett Delidio like in the 100-metre sprint on grand final day, all running forward in the
You've got to know your
space.
teammates. Jezza obviously knows Gary. He's got wheels.
Back in the middle now. Parfitt with the clearance. Hand pass to Stanley. Hand pass to Buse, who was coming through at a rate of knots. Didn't take the ball with him, though. Viney onto it for the D's. He has to become the tackler. Buse actually nicked it. His kick smothered. Salem gets some sort of hand pass out to Neil Bullen, who stabs a kick in short to Harms. They're out here, the D's. Hand pass to Viney, to Oliver. Back to Harms, who can finish the work. Hand pass to Cozzy Pickett, who should deliver a goal, and he does. D's get one back. His second. Margin back to 38 points. Let's head downstairs, Jess Webster.
Just going back to that last Gary Rowan goal, he kept sprinted all the way to the bench where Tom Hawkins was waiting for him on the interchange gates, gave him a double high five as he came off the ground. Tom Hawkins was pumped.
As he should have been too. It was a very nice team goal, wasn't it, the Cats? And that was a good team goal from the D's, actually. We stood the pressure on the centre wing there and just worked their way forward. Just had the overlap, didn't they? The ability to get one out. Oliver over to Harms, and then Harms just probably could have had a shot himself, but the easier one was to get it to Pickett in the pocket, opened up the goal face and slammed it home.
It was actually a really good offensive spread from all their midfielders. Yes. Actually, the three guys starting in the centre square bounce as we speak. Harms, Oliver and Viney first involved, and you made mention of them Pickett getting on the end of it as a forward. So good spread from the inside mids.
Back to 38, Geelong with the break. Selwood, great kick out in front of Jeremy Cameron. And on the searching lead, he takes the mark, centre half forward, just right of centre. A kick from about 52 out.
Was that Clayton Oliver just buying everything that Joel Selwood was selling, I think, out of the middle there?
Oh.
Can't buy experience, and just a beautiful lace-out pass. That's what you want coming out of the centre. Big Jezza Cameron coming out of the goal square.
So another clean break from a centre clearance results in a set shot. Jeremy Cameron from downtown. He's offline. Missing from outside 50. Behind. Cats by 39. That's what we were at half-time. Geelong 39-point leaders. We've now travelled 22 minutes into the third.
D's take it quickly, although it's roved nicely by Cameron. Hand pass to Atkins, back in the middle. And they're away again, the Cats. Kolajasny out wide, left half forward. Dalhouse takes the mark in front of Lever. There's space in the forward pocket. Instead he goes inboard to Close. He's a little further out from goal. He goes back inside the centre square, almost back to halfway to Atkins, who takes the mark. Now, McDonald overcommitted on the mark. Atkins was able to run around him and flare it out wider still to O'Connor, who pokes the pass to Henderson. Henderson on the right forward flank, looking for a way inside. You can see Isaac Smith, who's standing on the left forward flank here, motioning for the switch to take place. Short kick goes to O'Connor, who's now back on the wing. He's forced to kick quickly inside 50. May up. Good spoil. Down to Harms. Out wide to Langdon, who works the 1-2 with Bowie. And then Langdon's pass didn't reach Pickett. Diving fist across the face was lovely by Henderson and seen out for a boundary throw-in. Right half forward for Geelong.
Got good news for you, Lids. Bad news for you, Maisie. 12 minutes into the third term, the Orange have hit the front. So the Giants 7-5-47. Carlton 6-7-43, so a 4-point lead for the Giants. They must win to guarantee themselves a place in the finals. There is a way there even if they lose, but they need to hope results go their way tomorrow.
Fingers crossed it's not the first of 19.
Yes. 39 points is the lead for Geelong. Another boundary throw in, another stoppage. In front of the Reg Hickey stand, Gawn straight down to Oliver, spun around in the Selwood tackle, lost it, Parfitt onto the footy, collects the yellow Sharon, kicks inside 50, May spoils, can't get it out of bounds. Here's Hawkins, hand pass to Close, he's tackled hard by Langdon and dispossessed. Petty thought about keeping it in, he missed Salem with the handball, and it's out of bounds. 50 out from Geelong's goal. Earlier today, Brisbane by 38 over West Coast, they covered the percentage that they needed to, so as a result they get the double chance and a place in the top four.
Gawn down only as far as Holmes, who snaps inside 50 for the Cats. May, the only man parked back though, takes the mark. May flares it out wide to Brayshaw, who kept on going, didn't see anything up the park, so did a U-turn and went straight back to Stephen May inside defensive 50. He flares it to left half-back. That's a good kick to Langdon, who's forced to play on, took a step. High kick over the top is okay to Neil Bullen. Neil Bullen has Langdon, who kept on running. Lever inboard. That's where he hits, and hits him nicely. Lever on the edge of the centre square, can load up. He goes long to the top of 50. Brown third in line, became the spoiler. Gawn tried a dinky little pass. Missed Sparrow, though. Ball knocked down. Atkins. His kick smothered, going back the other way. Harms, hand pass to Oliver. Oliver inside 50. Brown slipped, was on his knees. It's still pretty tall for Ben Brown, and took the mark.
It's a very good point, but Oliver doing a really good job there, lowering his eyes, because if he did kick it long, and he didn't have a lot of time and space, to be honest, but good pressure from Melbourne. A smother came from McDonald, and then Harms and Oliver cleaning it up, but just lowering his eye and finding his big tall forward, because at the top of the square I think there was an out number for Geelong. So good forward 50 entry, good vision, good kick.
Ben Brown to line up from about 40 out, 45-degree angle to the left. Already has one this evening. Kicks. And bit of fade on it. He sneaks it in, though. It's good enough. Nadiz peg one back. Margin back to 33 points. 26 minutes played. Third term on Grandstand AFL.
We've certainly got plenty of time to fill in with Benny Brown lining up for his set shots. Beach, he goes back a long way.
Looking back and forth, thinking about running out of time and that.
No, it was a nice kick from Clayton Oliver. Has continued on his merry way in this second half. I mean, he's good form in the first, but I like what the D's are just starting to peg it back a little bit, but every time they get a little bit closer, the Cats find a way to answer. So they're not really making any ground at the moment, are they? So it's back over to you, D's. This one out of the centre bounce, get it going forward and put them under a bit more pressure.
Kick 3 of the last 4 after falling behind by 44, the Demons, so back to 33. And Oliver's stat line, 30 touches, but they're not all empty calorie stats. So 22 contested, 5 intercept possessions, 6 inside 50s, 8 clearances, 3 from the centre bounce and 6 score involvements, including a goal of his own. Back in the middle, Geelong by 33, still no clean possession. Eventually, Parfitt going to ground, hands it to Menegola, back to Parfitt, back on his feet, kicks outside of the boot to centre half forward. Dalhouse went without it. Rowan shoots a hand pass, it's picked off. Harms to Rivers under pressure, out wide to Lever. On him in a flash, is close. Lever drops the footy, regathers, gives it to Harms, out to Petrarca. His hand pass a turnover. Parfitt on the bottom has it as a pack forms around him. He loses it. And Harms is wrapped up by Menegola. So after all that, we'll have a ball up in front of the interchange gates. Right on halfway, Cats by 33. Time on third term.
Gawn down through the hands of Petrarca. Holmes there, hand pass. Fell the way of Adkins. Adkins inside 50. Awkward one to take. Cameron almost tried to keep it in. Hawkins was lurking, seeing his eyes light up with the goal face open. Boundary throw will take place, though, 40 around from the Cats' goal.
I'm all for good questions off the SMS. Did either of your expert commentators, Brendan Goddard or Brett Delidio, find they were treated differently by the umpires as they got more experienced or got older? We'll come to that when there's a break in play.
Harms. Kick off his left boot is smothered, going nowhere. Stoppage at the top of 50. Jets.
I didn't get any favouritism.
You had lots of feedback for it, though.
Litz?
I can't say I really took too much notice of it.
Guthrie, kick inside 50 is okay. Salem gets rid of Dangerfield, then kicks. It's risky. O'Connor trying to get back onto this one. He does eventually. Got his hand pass away to Isaac Smith, who's close to the boundary line. Happy to see it over for a throw in. Right half forward for the Cats.
I always tried to shake their hand and be really nice to them before the game, see whether I could win a couple.
Did you read the record and see who was...
No, we had them pictured.
Oh, wow. Yeah? Oh, geez, that's the next level. I used to consciously read the record and find out their names if I didn't know them. But the older, experienced ones, I did know their names. And then always greeted them by their first name before the game.
For the boundary throw in, Parfitt gets the clearance, kicks inside 50, but Lever takes the intercept mark. Kicks a bullet in the middle of the ground, missed his intended target. O'Connor collects, Sparrow wraps him up. Wins a free for holding the ball. Melbourne take the advantage and Fritsch is off and running. With College Asney in his wake, he shoots to an unguarded goal square, needs a kind bounce, doesn't get it. He's off target in the behind for our man Bailey Fritsch. Hasn't kicked one so far tonight. Melbourne 6-7, Geelong 12-3. Cats by 32 points. Melbourne perhaps with a little momentum here late in the third.
Menengola with the kick in, runs into the back pocket, right back pocket, and then kicks long. Cameron up early, didn't get anywhere near the ball, punched away from that pack. Number of fists up. Viney sees it over for a ball in.
Did you cop early in your career? Did the umpires always... I mean, you guys were very high-profile guys getting drafted, but I know the young players every now and then, they don't always get the name check, which is a bit embarrassing for the young boys.
Oh, yes, it do. I'm bad with names, so I can't comment on that. Shocking.
Dangerfield tries to get the clearance. Hand pass was good to Guthrie. Out wide is still to Parfitt. He's at right half forward. Hooks it back. It's a 2-on-1 here. Petty dropped it. Hawkins applied the pressure from front on. Well done by Bowie. Hand pass to Lever. Then over the top to Rivers. And now Neil Bullen. His kick lands on the chest of Spargo right as the siren sounds. And that's it for the third term on Grandstand AFL. The Cats, who held a 39-point lead at halftime, now lead by 32 points at three-quarter time. 12-3-75. The D's 6-7-43. Goal kickers for the Cats. 4 to Hawkins, 2 each to Cameron and Rowan, and singles to Dalhouse, Close, Dangerfield and Selwood. For the D's, 2 to Brown, 2 to Pickett, singles to Oliver and Viney.
I did say embarrassing, but I mean, it's only because the umpires take such great pride in making sure they always know the players' first names, and so when they don't get one, it does stand out, doesn't it? That they haven't quite
know their names.
A few of the younger guys or the blokes that are more recent on the
There's a lot of players to know.
Correct.
It's just 22 they're running out each week, and then they expected to know all 45 to 50 players on a list in case a first gamer comes. Well, you probably know about a first gamer, but
call them by their number. That's a pretty simple solution.
Yeah. Well, I was always last names, because all we ever saw as players was players' last names.
Yeah.
So even after the game, and again, I'm bad with names, but I'd walk up to a guy, all I could picture was his last name. So it'd be like, I'd make it awkward sometimes. So it's like, thanks, Delidio. Like,
it's so deflating for me if you just said, they'd be like, Brendan, seriously.
Yeah, no, I didn't do it to him, but seriously, younger guys would be a young fella, Smith, thanks, Smith. Like, or I'd make up a nickname for him and say Smitty, like, not that I know him, but it was always awkward.
Do we have access to the PA?
DJ has nailed it again.
What a tune. What an absolute banger on the stroke of three-quarter time. The DJ's been in good form tonight.
Unbelievable.
It's the Cats by 32 points. They're a quarter away from being announced McClellan Trophy winners, which is the minor premiership. It's the 31st year we give out the McClellan Trophy for the minor premiership. Previous to that, it was for the most successful club across all grades. So as essentially a collective shield for the club across the reserves and the underage competition. It's three-quarter time. The thoughts of our experts next on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
Hello, it's Sammy J here. Have you downloaded the ABC Listen app yet? Make sure you add my Sammy J Snack Pack podcast to your favourites. Just open the Listen app, ignore the featured episodes, true crime, blockbusters, music, sports, science, culture, news and analysis, and all of your favourite ABC radio stations, then search for the Sammy J Snack Pack podcast. Add it to your favourites, and you'll never miss an episode. Then I guess you can also enjoy the other stuff as well. The ABC Listen app. Download it now. Oh, I might try an audiobook.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Dalhouse, hand pass to Dangerfield. How easy is that? Lowered his eyes, hit up the 15-metre pass, and Hawkins takes it 40 from goal. Comes in for goal number 4 and knew it was going over the goal umpire's hat the moment it left his boots.
Free kick from the stoppage. Oliver takes the advantage, runs into the open goal, and Clary puts it through on the run from 40 out. And finally they break the streak. The 9 consecutive goal run comes to an end. Hand pass to Cameron. All of a sudden the Cats over halfway going downhill. Cameron between wing and half forward. Kicks it deep. Look at the pace from Rowan. Never broke stride. Like a track star he marks, runs into the goal square and bangs it 26 rows back. Cats by 44 points.
They're out here, the D's. Hand pass to Viney, to Oliver. Back to Harms, who can finish the work. Hand pass to Cozzy Pickett, who should deliver a goal, and he does. His kick smothered, going back the other way. Harms, hand pass to Oliver. Oliver inside 50. Brown slipped, was on his knees. It's still pretty tall for Ben Brown, and took the mark. Already has one this evening. Kicks. And bit of fade on it. He sneaks it in though. It's good enough.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Sounds there at the third term, really more of the same. 3-2. Melbourne making up a little bit of ground, but still with it all to do with a quarter to play. The Cats kicked 9 unanswered goals in the game, either side of half-time. They got it out to 44 points. Melbourne with 3 of the last 4. Geelong by 32 as we turn for home. Meanwhile, the other game tonight, back in the city. That's it. Dockland Stadium, it's GWS now by 19 points. So Carlton led this game at half-time and for the majority of the first half. But now it's the G-men. Time on in the third term. The Giants 9-8-62. Carlton 6-7-43. So a 19-point lead for the Giants. They look finals bound. Brett Delidio and Brendan Goddard on Grandstand AFL.
They've been impressive, haven't they, the Cats? Every time the Ds have looked like grabbing that bit of momentum, they've really flexed on the Ds and taken it away from them. They started probably into that second quarter and they kicked, 8 goals. I think it was in that second, where they absolutely...
8 goals in about 12 minutes.
Yeah, went bananas, didn't they, for a little while there. But, you know, the D's fought admirably in that third quarter there, but when they needed one, the Cats are able to just stem the flow, kick that goal, that one out the back that we spoke about with Gary Rowan absolutely flying back towards goal. But it's been pretty impressive from the Cats' point of view. They've looked really strong defensively. The D's just haven't been able to get their ball movement up and going, and they've made their defensive players really accountable. You've seen Dalhouse really stand close to Lever, not allow him just to fly off and intercept. May's been trying to read the play really well. Thought he could have maybe gone for a few more marks rather than just going for a spoil on a couple of occasions, but he's been solid, but the ball movement's just been too clean from the Cats that he's been caught out with Big Tomahawk kicking a few as well. So very impressed with the Cats at the moment, Beej. I'm liking what I'm seeing, but it's a different story when they've got to go and play on neutral territory somewhere else across the country.
I just feel like now it's Q in the rack because I think Melbourne...
Don't get injured, you reckon, from here?
Yeah, that's the smartest thing too. They're up by six goals. Why wouldn't you coming into finals? You don't obviously get that bye now. That's been scrapped, so straight into it next week. But it'll just be, I think now, just fizzle out, just be a bit of an arm, which was what we saw from Geelong. It was Richmond, right, where I said arguably it was the best first half of football we've seen all year, only about a month, 5 weeks ago.
Yep.
And then the second half, it looks like they consciously just put the Q in the rack a little bit, saved some energy. I think they had a 6-day break the following week, so even be more conservative with the ball and play that uncontested game even more. So we might see that in the last quarter, unfortunately, for all the spectators. But if you're a Geelong supporter, you'd be pretty...
spectators?
Yeah, not
the
here,
listeners.
The listeners, and the viewers sitting at home watching. So I think you'll see this one fizzle out and Geelong just get home comfortably by 3 or 4 goals.
Geelong by 32, but Melbourne with the break. First goal, and then Petrarca floats his kick inside 50, and Cosy Pickett reads it best. Takes the chest mark, 35 out, just right of centre.
Or maybe they'll pin the ears back and away they go, the D's, and they really want this minor premiership. So,
and I was going to mention that Geelong are more likely to win this game, but Melbourne just will sit back probably into this game and just rue literally 12 minutes of football of where it went wrong and cost them the game.
The loser will play Port, who will have the home ground advantage. The winner will play Brisbane on neutral turf. Cosy Pickett slots his drop punt. 3 in a row for Melbourne. And the game's still live. Early doors, final term. Geelong 12-3-75. Melbourne 7-7-49. Margin back to 26 points. 1 minute played.
Well, we've got to paint the picture, don't we, that the game's still pretty live. But I'd be surprised from what we've seen so far, Beach, that the Cats would fall asleep that much late into this game to allow the D's to get a run on. But we did see them against one of the best, if not the best defensive teams, put on 8 goals in a quarter or 12 minutes, as you've been speaking about. So that can happen to teams. You get the momentum and you just got to capitalise.
Well, if the game finished now, it'd be an interesting thing to pull apart, where you think, well, apart from like a 10-minute burst, Melbourne won a lot of other areas in the game, and yet they got blown off the park time on in the second quarter, which was probably, decided the outcome.
So still a heartbeat for the D's. Start of this final term. Gawn wins it down to Harms. Here's hand pass was intercepted, just made its way to Petrarca. Hand pass to Gawn, now to Oliver, who kicks inside 50. Brown, one grab, not the second, coming through. Neil Bullen, good tackle. Jasny forced to hand pass. It should have been holding the ball. Oh, it wasn't.
What are you doing?
Brayshaw, fantastic tackle on Atkins, who didn't get his boot to ball, took on the tackler, went the fend. It dribbled off his boot and out for a boundary throw. It should have been deliberate if nothing else.
Noise of affirmation.
Very good. Petrarca from the stoppage, snap, came off the wrong side of the boot, goes high, Fritsch front and centre, just had a fumble again at the crucial moment. Pickett, he's taken down in attack, will have a ball up top of the goal square. So D's deep into attack again.
He's had a different 2 weeks, Bailey Fritsch, hasn't he? 7 last week to just the 1 behind today. 2.
Up it goes. Stanley wins the tap. Oliver onto it. Falls to ground in the tackle from Guthrie. Got it out to Neil Bullen. Off balance. Hand pass back to Petrarca. Trying to swing onto his right peg. Hands it back to Rivers. Rivers by hand to Langdon. They're now 50 out against the boundary line. Centering kick. Couple of cats fly. Henry goes up. On the line. Spargo sockers it through. They've got 4 in a row, Melbourne. All of a sudden, it's back to 20 points. Momentum with the D's. Melbourne moved to 8-7-55. Geelong out in front, 12-3-75. Geelong by 20, having led by 44 late in the third. We've now travelled 3 minutes into quarter number 4.
This is great. There's a sniff here. It's at 2 in 3.5 minutes. It's a pretty good start. If they're over a chance, this is what they need to do. And hopefully it continues like this and they get within reach and they make a real game of it. And everyone's sitting there watching, particularly the other teams, the likely opponents of one of these two teams. Both these teams next week make a game of it, sitting on the edge of their seat.
Well, it used to be the coach would say how you finish a game would be how you'd start, and that's what they try and drill into you a little bit, I would have thought, at 3/4 time. It's great for us watching and calling the game. Keep it going, the D's.
Back in the middle, 20 points the margin now in favour of the Cats. Gawn wins it down. Was Oliver held? He was doing a merry dance there with Guthrie. Gawn went back to fetch the ball. Turned over. Now a chance for Dalhouse, who hand passes inside 50. Fumble at the last moment. Oliver, hand pass, turned over. Dalhouse, he was tackled, thrown to ground. Ball comes out towards Harms, who taps at the advantage of a teammate. Myers, though, emerges with it. The game opens up for him. He has a left foot flying shot at goal. It's across the face. And it's over. I think it nicked the behind post on the way through. And a ball in right forward pocket for the Cats. First time they've been deep inside 50 in this final term. It's 5 minutes old. D's closing. They trail by 20.
Neither sub used tonight. Sean Higgins for Geelong. James Jordan for Melbourne. Deep forward for the Cats. Hawkins can't grab it out of the ruck. Spills to Neil Bullen. Hand pass to Harms. Dumps a kick out of the defensive arc for Melbourne. Footy bounces on the wing. Jackson slips over. Blitz Harms goes without it. Now Jasny tackled, dispossessed. Spargo runs into Fritsch. Threw it out to Jackson. Melbourne still can't release it. Menegola on the outskirts of the stoppage. Drives his kick inside 50, but Gawn's back. And Melbourne with the numbers back behind the footy. Geelong by 20, 5 played final term, but Melbourne with the last 4 in the game. Gawn short to Neil Bullen, short to Spargo.
Spargo gets it moving quickly, out wide to Brayshaw. He had Viney on. Instead, he goes inboard, high kick to the point of the centre square. Jackson, good fly, crashed the pack. Brown front and centre, was pushed as he kicked it. Not a downfield free kick like a few of the D's were appealing for. He'll take it from back inside the centre square, which will give time enough for plenty of the Cats defenders to get back. Brown to take it. He hammers it long into the pocket. The flyer, Fritsch from behind. No mark, spills over the back. Henry happy to see it over for a throw in. 30 around from the Melbourne goal. They're asking plenty of questions at the start of this final term. Margin 20 points in favour of the Cats.
And their pressure's been red hot around the footy, so this is another opportunity. Inside 50, good inside 50, deep enough to keep it in there, set up behind the ball and keep that pressure on around the stoppage.
Jackson wins the tap down to Cozzy Pickett. His shot goalward smothered. Ricochets off the outstretched hands of Buse and through for a behind. Some 30 metres away, so a minor score. You can put it in the book to Cozzy Pickett. 19 points now, Geelong's lead. They led by 44 late in the third. We've now travelled 6 minutes into the last.
Henderson takes the mark low down from the Guthrie kick in, who kept on running. He hand passes back to Guthrie, and Guthrie fires in a low ball to the feet of Blitzarves, who takes the mark low down.
Cozzy with 3 tonight, by the way, so up to 35 for the year, which is a great effort. Played every game in his second season.
Blitzarves towards the wing. High jump from behind, although I think May might have been pushed out at the front of that contest. He was. Receives the free kick, kicks inboard. Rivers on halfway. Comes to the wing. Brayshaw takes the mark. Has Pickett short. That's where he heads. Pickett takes it. Left half forward. You can hear the ball slap onto his chest. Now he can enter 50 with a long kick. Pickett slow in his decision. Goes a high ball. Good luck marking that one. Jackson never got a run at it. Hand pass down, though, to Spargo, who snaps. Had Oliver outside. Now Viney onto it. Hand passes to Oliver, who threads it from the pocket. Magnificent snap. Game on here. With Oliver's second, the margin is back to 13 points.
There we go.
That was a fair snap, wasn't it? I thought he was probably on for the handball from Spargo.
Spargo burnt him for sure.
Second time I've seen him do that in the last 2 weeks. He sizzled James Harms last week as well, but geez, that was impressive finish from Clayton Oliver. He is putting together some sort of game, and obviously trying to impress Brendan Goddard just to get that nod for the 3 votes later tonight.
He's got to get 3.
Well, there's still a few minutes to go, Maisie. Anyone could jump up there, but he is putting together a very handy game. That's his second.
Yeah, it was been in the forward half for Melbourne for the last 3 minutes, but what's that? That's 3 goals in the space of 7.5 minutes, and the pressure the pressure around the ball there. Geelong looked like they had that covered, that aerial ball coming in. They had numbers around the contest, but Melbourne's ability to find the ball off the marking contest and then apply the pressure is outstanding.
Gawn grabs it out of the ruck, kicks to centre half forward. Sparrow takes the mark. Got himself in front of Buse. Inside the centre square he goes back. Jackson's deep, top of the goal square. They come from all directions. Spills down to Spargo. Spargo snaps. Melbourne have another. The Demons have kicked 6 straight to come from the clouds. And all of a sudden it's back to 7 points. Spargo with his second in the term. And boy, is it on here in Geelong. 9 played final quarter. Cats 12-3. Melbourne 10-8. Geelong's leaders evaporated. They lead by 7 points. Brendan Goddard, Brett Delidio.
Well, centre square bounce work too, isn't it? Getting out of there, getting ground position. What are the inside 50s this quarter? It hasn't spent much time in Geelong's forward 50, that's for sure.
1 or 2, wouldn't they?
7-1.
7-1, there you go. So, again, though, great work around stoppages, centre square bounce, getting the ball deep inside 50. It came from essentially nothing, but Talls playing their role. Contest, Spargo, Smalls, front and square. Arguably Geelong just overplaying it a little bit. Too many guys flying, so Spargo was unattended because he actually just played his role, stayed on the ground.
Blitzarves in the ruck now. Gawn wins it down to Petrarca. Spun 360. Got the hand pass away to Viney. Hand pass to Gawn. Now Gawn thumps it to the top of 50. Where are the Flyers? One of them will be McDonald. Couldn't take the mark at ground level. Henderson ran into Pickett. He's going nowhere. Umpire circle says I'll have it. Another stoppage inside attacking 50. Nervous times for the Cats. Chris Scott on the phone. Tossed up. Jackson down. He was looking for Petrarca. Selwood, hand pass out wide. And it was Blitzarves who was held onto for a little long in that tackle. He receives the free kick. Oliver holding on for just a tad too long.
We've sold it all-nighters for the minor premiership. The winner tonight will finish top of the tree. And as a result, host a neutral final. Host will really get the hosting rights, but on neutral turf, they'll pick the venue next week for their quali. Geelong have said they're happy to do it in Adelaide. If Melbourne win, it'll be their first minor premiership since 64. There's also a little bit of fine print on that. If Geelong win by a really slender margin, there's a chance Port could win the minor premiership. So still all ahead of us tonight. We'll keep you updated with the live ladder as Hawkins marks the Selwood kick, goes long down the line. And May had his jumper tugged as Geelong were racing away with the footy. So May gets the free. Half back for the D's. Finds Bowie. They shifted out to the western side of the ground. Petty at half-back takes the mark for Melbourne. He goes short to Salem. Geelong by 7, but Melbourne have kicked the last 6 in the game. Salem short back to Bowie. And the redhead knocks against the boundary line, left half back for the D's.
Darts inside, then kicks beyond centre wing. McDonald trying to get a fly at it. Jackson just won it down in front. Selwood taken high.
No.
Ooh.
Fritsch with the
He's got no head.
arm across.
But he fell at the knees and shrugged his shoulder again. Play on. He initiated the contact.
Selwood kicks across half back.
It's a fair tackle if he doesn't drop at the knees.
Isaac Smith pokes the pass to Henry. Henry short, straight up the middle this time to Kolajasny. Kolajasny short and out wide to O'Connor. He takes the mark. In fact, it's Simpson rather, just beyond centre wing. Simpson looking back inside defensive 50 and he finds Henry.
Simpson, only 3 games this year. Of course, he was KO'd in last year's grand final. Had another interrupted season with injury. A serious hammy early in the year. Henry out further wide to Izzy Smith. Off the back flank, long 60-metre drop punt down the wing and a good mark, Lever. As he does better than any player in the game, he shifts across and takes the intercept mark. Look at them all on the wing. Plenty of Melbourne players queuing up. Viney left to take the mark. Logo, eastern wing, kicks down to half forward. Gawn takes the mark. He's 70 out from Melbourne. Geelong by just 7. Gawn puts it into the pocket. The kick favours Henry. And Jack Henry takes the intercept mark for the Cats. 7-point lead for Geelong. 13 played, final quarter.
It was 32 at three-quarter time. Henry out wide. Myers, can he take this? He gets a fist to it, out of bounds. Just saved it going out of bounds on the full. Ball to be thrown in about 70 from the D's goal.
4 minutes into the final term. Giants by 8 points over Carlton, so 9-10. Carlton 8-8. Giants must win to guarantee themselves a place in the final series. The Giants now by 9, early stages final term.
Ball thrown back into play. Blitzarves takes it out of the ruck. Hand pass is okay. 2 to Simpson, who just got his boot to ball. And Hawkins took a good mark. Hawkins thinking about rolling quickly. Goes into the middle to Holmes. Holmes, a hand pass out wide to Myers, who gets inside 50, pokes the pass. It was a hamstring tester for Jeremy Cameron. Might have been pushed in the back. Umpire said play on. D's with the numbers. Bowie out wide to May. This kick has to be good. It is. And Smith takes the mark. Smith to Salem by hand. Left back pocket. And going to ground was Fritsch. Didn't need to. And Kolajasny takes the mark. They're going back inside 50 here, the Cats.
Just about every player on the ground inside the Cats' forward arc. So Kolajasny looking for some space. Kicks into the pocket. Sprawling effort. Jeremy Cameron. It was a perfect kick from Kolajasny. And Cameron leading into the only spare grass inside the 50. Low down. Takes the sprawling effort. And he'll shoot right up against the boundary line. Right forward pocket.
You called it, Corby. He's not usually renowned for his entries inside forward 50, Kolajasny, but that was perfect.
He's got this, doesn't he?
Yeah. To keep them at arm's length, Jeremy Cameron bends it back. He hits the post. Slams it into the right-hand goal post halfway up. Cats by 8 points. Geelong 12-4, Melbourne 10-8. 15 played final term. Melbourne have kicked the last 6 in the game.
First score of the final term for the Cats coming 15 minutes in. Long kick from May. Flyer was danger-filled. Henry had a fumble. Fritsch looking for an outlet. Actually fell back through his legs there. The ball poked out the back, and Selwood happy to see it not come out of that stoppage. We'll have a ball up, point of the centre square. 15 minutes gone. Geelong lead it by 8 points, but the D's coming like a steam train. Petrarca, the kick is not so good. Into the middle, Isaac Smith takes the mark on his chest.
As he backs back to take his kick, almost right in the centre circles, decides to go direct. Inside 50, Lever down there. Strong mark overhead, takes the intercept mark. And Lever quickly shifts it out to the western side. Brayshaw at half-back on to Cozzy Pickett. Takes the mark and takes on Blitzarves. He's off and running. Up over halfway for Melbourne. Kicks to Fritsch in the one-on-one. Body contact with Henry. He's out the back, Fritsch. Fritsch onto it. Into the goal. Fritsch puts it through. 7 straight for Melbourne. They're within a straight kick. What a turnaround in this game. From 44 down, Melbourne trail by just 2. Fritsch with his first of the night. 16 played final term. Cats 12-4-76. Melbourne coming with a rush. 11-8-74. Jess Webster on the boundary.
A vibe check down here on the boundary line, and Melbourne, their bench is up and about. They were out of their seats clapping that one home. And as for Geelong, the heads are shaking. The body language is really down. So tense times here down on the boundary line with about 10 minutes to go. But Melbourne, absolutely, the body language down here is like chalk and cheese.
What's concerning for Mike that Geelong's the most experienced team in the competition, but the defenders and even their midfield, I just saw the forwards get together here and just try and regroup, probably just calm everyone down and focus on a couple of things. But the defenders are all separated, hands on their haunches, just get together, try and galvanise each other now and just steady the ship.
Jackson into the middle now. Stanley emerges with it though, carries the ball in one hand, gets to the edge of the centre square, goes to the top of the square with his kick, no mark taken. Dalhouse front and centre, snaps, misses. Oh, you normally would have put that one in the book. One behind, the margin is now 3 points in favour of the Cats.
The Cats looking for their second minor premiership in 3 years. Melbourne their first since 1964. And the winner will avoid Port Adelaide on their home deck in a qualifying final. So they'll be the only team with a true home ground advantage next week, week one of the finals. And it's something to try and avoid for these two teams. As the ball ends up on the wing from Melbourne's exit, and we'll have a ball up. Neil Bullen tackled with it. Up it goes. Broadcast side of the ground. Stanley wins the tap. Oliver first possession. Half pass to Harms. Short kick to McDonald who marks. He's just in front of the interchange gates. Tommy Mack turns around, heads to half forward. Harms in the hole, spills the mark. Falls to Holmes. Clears defensive 50 for Geelong.
Adkins dropped the mark. McDonald there for the knees. Happy enough to see it over. A throw in 70 around from the Melbourne goal. 18 minutes played. Final term on Grandstand AFL. The final term of the home and away season for both of these clubs. Who will come out on top? Tossed back into play. Gawn won it down. Stanley, though, just socketed out of midair. Gained about 30 metres. Salem sits underneath it. Punched away from him and out for a boundary throw in front of the interchange benches.
9 minutes into the final term at Docklands. Giants by 16. It's against Carlton, so the Giants need a win to lock up their place in the finals. It's on track at the moment.
Thrown back into play. Gawn won it down only as far as Selwood though. Paddles it to his own advantage. Then has to snap. Salem in prime position here. Takes the mark on his chest.
Dean off the SMS. A draw would be enough for Melbourne to lock up top spot. That's right, Dean. You're all over it. Petrarca marks the kick. Heads down to half forward. Gawn takes the mark. 3 point game. Geelong lead it. Melbourne with the last 7. Gawn hits up Brown. Perfect kick. Juggled mark. Brown got it on the second grab. And Ben Brown to shoot wide out left half forward.
That was a sick ball movement, wasn't it, from the turnover? Quick kick from Selwood. Salem was actually the +1. Both Geelong and Melbourne had a +1 behind the ball. A kick away from that stoppage. Fell on that kicked back inside to Petrarca, which was great, which set up everything. And then another 2 kicks followed where they both hit their target. They get a shot here from... Have to kick this from just inside 50, but as we know, these pockets are quite shallow, so...
We saw Gary Rowan jag one from here against the Dags, wasn't it, a few weeks ago?
Now, Ben Brown, his run-up would be longer, but there's nowhere else to go, so he's up against the fence. And the man on the mark is 5 in from the boundary line. That's Lockie Henderson. And Ben Brown will kick from a couple of steps inside the 50. Brown moves in, strikes his drop punt. It's out to the right. It's staying there. It's helped through. There's a whistle on the play. There's a free for a hold. It's against Melbourne. Tom McDonald hanging on to Blitzarves. No score. Geelong by 3 as we tick into time on. Final turn, minor premiership on the line.
Short kick by Blitzarves. Now, Isaac Smith hardly moved and was called to play on. So he goes long. It's a fantastic kick too to Menengola, who takes it at the point of the centre square, left half back. Menengola happy to sit on it for a while. Then keeps it low. That's a bit of a nothing kick. It reached Hawkins, got over the back of that contest. Socket inside 50. There's a couple of cats out the back and they collide. Oh, Cameron went down. Going the other way was Henderson, who drifted forward. D's come away with it. Fritsch, he was infringed and it smacked him in the face. He receives the free kick just behind centre wing.
Gee, it's an opportunity missed in the moment, which what looked like a scoring opportunity, but boy, we hope neither of them are hurt. Obviously, with the concussion protocols and what's around the corner, they look to be okay. Henderson and Cameron both back on their feet. The kick finds Petrarca. Logo broadcast wing. One side of the centre square to the other. Long drop punt to May. Here come the Demons inside 50. Sparrow the target. One-on-one. He's got it. Tom Sparrow leaping back, outmarks Cam Guthrie. And what a moment for young Sparrow. Will kick from right half forward to give Melbourne the lead.
So this is different to the momentum that Geelong had, which how they did it, because Geelong literally just stopped. They're like deers in the headlights. And everything that the only similarity it has from Geelong's dominance in the second quarter is that everything that can go right for Melbourne is, and they're highlighted just by that collision by teammates in Geelong's forward 50.
21-year-old, 7 times the sub this year. To make his winter, it's across the face. It's helped through on the line. And a minor score for the Demons. Geelong by 2, hanging on by the skin of their teeth at the moment. The Cats 12-15, Melbourne 11-9, 22 travelled final term. Melbourne have kicked the last 7 in the game, having trailed by 44.
Isaac Smith with the kick in to Blitzarves, who kicks that off the outside of the boot. Oh, what a fly by Bowes. Go away the free kick, though. Moment got the better of him, the youngster there. And the free kick going the way of Collar Jasny. Right half back for the Cats.
Tell you who we haven't cited this quarter is the man that was best off on ground last week and in the last quarter last week in Dangerfield.
Collar Jasny, high kick around the boundary line. It reaches Gawn on the bounce, got through him though. Rowan happy enough to see it over, helped over by Lever. Let's head downstairs, Jess Webster.
Yeah, just on Dangerfield, he spent about the last 7 minutes on the bench, quite a long stint. He's standing on the interchange gates, ready to come back on. Also, Joel Selwood has spent a bit of time on the bench trying to stop bleeding to his head. Typical Joel Selwood, but he looks like both of them are ready to go.
Hasn't had a possession in the quarter, Dangerfield, from the boundary throw-in. We've got a ball up, close locked up straight away. 70 out from Geelong's goal.
We had 11 last week in the last quarter, 8 of them contested, so they could do with a bit more of that, couldn't they?
Geelong by 2 in red time here. Melbourne with all the momentum. Simpson locked up at the feet of the ruckman. A ball up again. 60 out. Geelong's goal, right half forward. Cats home to the Barwon River end. Stanley down to Brayshaw, soccers it away. One bounce out of play. Says it's all okay. Boundary throw in, same spot. Another stoppage. 60 out from the Cats goal. Geelong by 2. Melbourne with all the momentum. They've kicked the last 7, 5 unanswered in this final term.
Toss back into play. Stanley fell over. Gordon couldn't get it. Parfitt tries a soccer, just skimmed the ball, almost got it back from Guthrie. Instead it was Atkins who fed it to him. Now a chance as he feeds it back to Isaac Smith, who kicks inside 50, ball bounces. Oliver there, he was a little unclean on the first attempt. Myers in there for the Cats. His hand pass is knocked down, and then Rowan turns it over by hand. Salem, hand pass, reaches Gawn on the bounce, who has had enough of the hand pass and kicks it out of there. Gets it to the wing. Big fist over the top by Harms. Falls to Fritsch. Lovely pick up to Brown. Brown kicks to an empty 50. Ball spins end over end. Big contest here. O'Connor was clean. Got out of a couple of tackles and then kicks straight up the middle. It's risky. It hangs in the air. It's good enough for Blitzarves and centre half back.
In his 200th game, Mark Blitzarves holds it up at centre half back. Still plenty of time left for Melbourne. 25 travelled final term. He goes out wide to Buse. Everyone takes a breath. Jed Buse off the back flank. Long contest kick down the line. At the back close. Contact between Bowie and Hawkins. Says all okay. And the mark will stand close 4th in the queue. Hangs on to it. Again, a sense of quiet. Geelong just trying to control the footy. Goes back to Isaac Smith. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Look, with only a few minutes to go, Geelong only have 2 interchanges they're allowed to make. Joel Selwood is still standing on the interchange gates. No doubt they'll try and get him back on for these last 2 crucial minutes, but they've only got 2 more interchanges they can use.
Short kick to Atkins. Atkins back. And now Blitzarves, top of the defensive goal square, making Melbourne man up. The kick out wide reaches Isaac Smith. Petrarca arriving late. Smith back flank. Geelong by 2 points, 26 travelled final term.
Smith Gains a bit of territory, runs his full measure, then kicks wide, almost too wide. Close with the fist in the end to see it out of bounds, just short of the wing. Well, it's edge of your seat stuff if you're listening at home. This is going to be an epic finish. Melbourne 11-9-75. The Cats 12-5-77. Game in the balance with a couple of minutes left. Clearance comes away with the Cats. Up to half forward. Hawkins didn't take the mark at ground level though, slides in. Neil Bullen wins it though for the Cats. He was pushed off his kick. Simpson out wide. He missed the target by hand. Parfitt had to go and collect. And then a bit crude and his tackle was gone. Gives away the free kick. Slid over the top of him, Big Max. And Parfitt can load up and enter 50 if he wants to.
Geelong's percentage good enough, so whoever wins here are the minor premiers. We've got a little over 2 minutes on the game clock. Geelong with possession, still plenty of time. Parfitt to Guthrie, short to Menegola, told to go. Ball spills to Henderson, goes out wide to Guthrie. Melbourne have to man up. Geelong by 2. Demons with the last 7 in the game, having fallen 44 behind. Guthrie short kick to Menegola. Back edge of the centre square, ground well spread. Menegola has to go long and laterally across the ground. Dangerous kick to a 2-on-1. Rowan does well, outnumbered. Slick hand pass too hot for Dalhouse. Harms onto it. It's inside the centre square, gives it to Oliver. Takes on a tackler. Hands it to Viney. Kicks wide. Brayshaw on the half volley. Grabs it. Spins away from Cameron on the wing.
Hand pass inside, reached Oliver on the bounce who had a fumble, back to Brayshaw by hand, pokes the pass over the top, it's okay to Salem. Salem can go inboard, there's a minute left on the clock. He looks up to the top of 50. Where are the Flyers? Here's one. It's McDonald. Brings the ball to the front. Simpson's there. Ball knocked out of his hands. Dangerfield went to ground. Guthrie emerges with it. Hand pass to Selwood. Kick smothered. Out of bounds. 75 around from the Melbourne goal.
What a finish. 48 seconds on the game clock. Geelong by 2. Minor premiership on the line. Loser cops Port Adelaide on their own patch in a qualifying final. Up it goes. Gawn hooks it down the back. Pack forms around Simpson. Ump says I'll have it on the wing. Geelong led by 44. Late in the third term, Melbourne with the last 7 in the game. Stanley whacks it away. Brayshaw soccers it 30 metres further afield. Out of bounds it goes.
What are you doing?
They pinged in for deliberate, trying to soccer it from the stoppage. It went 35 metres away, and the ump says it's a Geelong footy at half-back.
No. Listen very carefully. Umpire. Melbourne need to win the game. Do you think that he deliberately kicked the ball out of bounds?
Well, maybe the footy goes here because the kick has gone out of bounds from Guthrie.
God.
And then Close has double-fisted it about 8 rows back. And Lever will be marched to the top of 50.
I don't even, because I was just spraying the umpires. What just happened?
Close double-fisted it over the boundary to give away a 50.
Has he got the carry, Lever? There's 24 seconds left on the clock. He just puts it up to the hot spot. Max Gawn takes the mark. 20 metres out, slide angle to the left. Max Gawn can win it for the D's after the siren.
He's been in this position before, the big fella.
And he kicked the absolute mung off the inside of his boot. I remember it. The G, wasn't it?
Yeah. He's been working on it.
Zach Tui sunk the D's a couple of years ago to this end. Can Max Gawn make amends? Siren gone. The captain of this football club to deliver a top-of-the-table finish for the first time since 1964. Max Gawn.
He's got to miss it, isn't he?
No.
In he comes. 20 out. Slide angle to the left. The captain delivers in the big moment. Rejoice, Demons fans. Rejoice. The Demons finish the season on top of the table. What a win.
It's a grand old flag, it's a high-flying flag, it's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should all acquaintance be forgotten, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
Melbourne 12-9-81 defeating Geelong 12-5-77. A An unbelievable game to finish the home and away season for these two teams. Goal kickers, 4 to Hawkins, 2 to Cameron Rowan, and singles to Dalhouse Close, Dangerfield and Selwood for the D's. 3 to Pickett, 2 to Oliver, 2 to Brown, 2 to Spargo, 1 each to Fritsch, Viney, and the match winner, Max Gawn.
It's a grand old flag, it's a high-flying flag, it's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
Melbourne by 4. And the minor premiership is decided after the siren in the final game of the home and away season for Geelong and Melbourne. What a finish. 44 down to kick the last 8 of the game and win it after the bell as the ruckman goals. There's a great line in a Drizzy track which reads, "Comeback season in the works now, I'm thinking bigger," and it feels just quite appropriate here for the Demons. One of the comebacks of the season taken care of. And now the finals await. Their first minor premiership since 1964. Their 10th in the club's history. On 8 of the previous 9 occasions, they've gone on to win the premiership. Melbourne by 4 points at full time. 12-9-81, Geelong 12-5-77. Brendan Goddard, Brett Delidio. What have we witnessed here tonight at Kardinia Park?
Not what we thought at half time, anyway.
What
am I talking about? 3/4 time.
I think I was saying something like they need something dramatic to happen. Well, they got it. That was something dramatic.
Literally, Geelong
fell asleep.
Literally, yeah, fell asleep at the wheel. Deers in the headlights, whatever analogy you want to throw out there. But really, surely Geelong knew, and again, they're the most experienced team in the competition, that at 3/4 time, yes, we had a comfortable lead, but I was used to, I'm not sure you as a team leads, but you always said they're going to, like the last message,
they're going to throw everything
They're going to throw everything at us, boys, so we've got to be ready for it. Not only match them, but better them. So don't get comfortable. They knew what was coming. So they got no excuses really. So they're going to throw everything at them, take the risks they need to do, and they got off to the perfect start, really, didn't they? Three goals in the first 7 minutes. Well, you need to do that to get yourself back in the game, then get the momentum. But Geelong just had no answers. Again, it looked different to how Geelong did it in the second quarter, because Melbourne actually, as I said, that they just would, the flag went up to saying, "Oh, you're just too good," because their effort was pretty good. Structure, they were pretty good. They weren't great, but this quarter just looked completely different, where Melbourne threw everything at them. Geelong just literally didn't know how to respond. Didn't know how to not wrestle the momentum back, because I've talked about before, you can't just, kick a goal and expect that you've got the momentum, but you've got to get it on an even keel, stop their momentum, then work towards getting the momentum back in the game. And they just couldn't do that. They just had no answers. I might mention their defenders and their midfielders. I think after Melbourne had kicked 5 in a row, that they looked depleted. There wasn't any effort to get around one another, just to try and steady the ship, talk on little things, focus on little things that we've all talked about as players and teams, lids, that when you're under pressure and the team's got momentum, go back to this, talk about this as teammates out in the ground with one another. And the only bit of work or anything towards that I saw was the forwards, and I think it was the big tomahawk. I think the oldest player on the ground is either got the forwards together, but tried to do something just to keep his teammates calm and in the moment. But that was extraordinary, and I was spraying the umpire. That was the worst. That was one of the if not the worst decision we've seen all year. We're in the last round of years, so that speaks volumes of how poor that decision was. And then I didn't see what happened down here, but that was a set play there where his direct opponent, which I think Reece Stan was on the ground, right, has to realise, and the little things in footy make up bigger picture things, is that Gawn's not on the goal line. Gawn's sitting...
Where do you reckon it's going?
Where do you reckon it's going?
Yeah.
He's had time to get back. You've got to be close enough, because it ended up being Guthrie, I think, that was tried to spoil.
And they're all looking around saying, "Where are you, big fella?
Where are you, mate? He's got to be better in big moments like that, and clutch moments and end of game kind of stuff." Because looking at it, we could have called it time, but I looked up and saw Gawn standing there. I was like, well, and I've seen them. How many times have we seen them do that tonight as well? Just kick it to that hot spot, and we've seen it with Gawn. Gawn sets himself up there all the time. If you're a team watching footage, you know that Gawn's going to be there. So that'll be an error that just literally just cost Geelong a top 2 spot.
What it has been is exactly what the Cats did to the Saints last week from three-quarter time, where they just flexed, how they controlled the footy. And I give it that Melbourne come home with a wet sail here, and they've kicked a lot more goals than what the Cats did late in their game last week. But dominated them in terms of possession, 93 to 68. Just did not give them a sniff. And the bloke who was best on in the last quarter in the game last week, Paddy Dangerfield, did not even register that.
Touch it.
Didn't touch it in the last quarter, which is unusual for him. But yeah, he was the only one on the field who didn't touch it other than the 2 subs. So. But for the Ds, like Maxi Gawn, he's had a monster last quarter, 11 touches, and did exactly what Paddy Dangerfield did. 3 clearances, all of them were centre bounce clearances. Kicks obviously the match-winning goal. Clayton Oliver just continued. What about the finish to his game? He's absolutely dominated. I would have thought that he'd be a real chance in the votes. Beach, not trying to tell you which way you're going to go with that. But
I've already written him down, mate, don't
I would have thought that he'd be right up there. But disappointing, isn't it, for the Cats? You thought them by how far going, they did enough that in probably the third quarter just to say, we're still 6 goals up, we should be fine here, but they stopped to a halt, didn't they? Just could not get a look at it.
There's so much to get into from both sides, but it just feels like a special season for Melbourne. First time since 1964 they finish on top of the table. Their coach entered the year with more pressure on him than any other coach in the game. They finished clear on top of the ladder, 17.5 wins. And so their first minor premiership since 1964. I imagine this will be one hell of a rendition of the song. Good on them. Melbourne, 17.5 wins on top of the tree at the end of the home and away season. The Giants are going to beat the Blues, time on final term. Giants by 14 points, 12-16, Carlton 11-8. So GWS currently 14 points clear. I'll let you know if something silly happens in the closing stages. But what that does mean, if GWS win as expected, the top 7 positions on the table are going to be set tonight. We've got our qualies. Melbourne will play Brisbane for a spot in the preliminary final. Is that not what they are?
Is that what you Perthenites call them?
Port Adelaide will play Geelong. So that game will be at Adelaide Oval. Still waiting a venue for Melbourne and Brisbane, but the Ds will get their choice of venue, albeit in a place where they can obviously stick it in front of fans. The Western Bulldogs will finish 5th. Sydney will finish 6th. And GWS, barring some miracle for Carlton late in the piece, the Giants are going to finish 7th. What it means headed into Sunday footy is there's only 2 teams that can nab that last spot. It's Fremantle if they beat St Kilda and Hope Essendon lose to Collingwood. If the Bombers win, they don't have to worry about any other result. The Bombers will be there and finish in 8th spot. What a night at the footy. The Dangerfield thing's a fascinating element in all of this. So 0 possessions in the last quarter. We chatted all week about how he just looks primed, ready for a final series. I mean, it's as you guys will know, you both had decorated careers, and obviously were never able to win the premiership. But as a sort of crowning moment for him in his career, as someone who's never got there, it felt like this is the year. What can they do? What can Geelong get to? And in the biggest moment of the regular season so far, final quarter, unfortunately, we didn't see the best of him here again tonight, where he didn't get a single touch in that last quarter.
He didn't, but I think he was best on ground last week in the last quarter in the game. So let's not make Mount Ever molehill. It was a bad one for him to have an influence in the game, and probably not just him. If you look at stats, but it was noticeable that he just hadn't touched the footy. You can look at stats, and because he's such a dominant figure, noticeable around the footy. But that's how the game was played too. It was in motion the whole time because of what Melbourne were doing. Is that whenever they got the ball, they tried to move the ball fast, get it in motion. So I'd like to know in the detailed stats of how many stoppages there were in the last quarter, because
clearances were 11-8.
Yeah, so 19 stoppages in the last quarter. But He did spend 7 minutes on the bench, as Jess alluded to as well, so that didn't help the situation. But he's just got to have more influence, as does a number of other guys. But the reality is, a lot of guys were poor in the last quarter. You just don't expect it from a guy of the calibre of Danger and what he did last week, what he's capable of. So it's a blip in the radar. It's 1 week. He won't.
I don't think he'll dwell on it.
Yeah, and he won't. But
he'll learn and move on.
He probably won't even think about it because it won't happen next. It won't happen for the rest of the finals.
Does anything that happened tonight change your focus, or I guess your predictions leading into the final series?
Not really. It's probably the last quarter again when the D's did get the ball in motion and move the ball quick, that Geelong looked, a little bit unstable down back again, which they did last week in the first, quarter and a bit against St Kilda when they were moving the ball quick, able to get through the defence and get the ball one-on-one deep in their forward line, the opposition forward line of Geelong. So maybe just that, but that first half was pretty impressive. That 12 minutes of football, that's what we almost know.
That was on their
capable,
terms, though, wasn't it? And
that's what they're capable of.
Yeah, when they were challenged, though, that's the thing that you have to look at, I think, tonight. And albeit, but what they're playing for the top position or top two, aren't they? So, where does that? Do you just tap out as soon as it gets a little bit hard and you don't?
Yeah,
want
it's
to
not.
Go,
they literally just thought I think at three-quarter time that they'd done enough, and they literally fell asleep at the wheel, and they'll look at that, and I'm sure Chris Scott will sit down and just go, lads, how did we let that happen?
Yeah, let's learn.
It happened so fast, but it's not that, I don't know, maybe Melbourne takes something out of that last quarter and say, maybe this is particularly early in the game where you can set the game up. In the first quarter, if you make a few errors, it won't really cost you. But why don't we approach the game and move the ball as fast as we did with urgency to get it inside 50, as quick as we did, and as well as we did in that last quarter against Geelong. You can emulate that next week in the first quarter in the quali.
Yep.
That I think it's a positive. So maybe they take a lot from it, but Geelong will learn from it. But I don't think it changes a hell of a lot. But there's.
Well, who'd you come here thinking was going to win? I thought Melbourne.
I actually didn't know.
Oh, you didn't know?
It was for me. It was
Toss
just it was a flip of the coin, quite literally.
Yeah. Oh, I just think that Melbourne and the way they've set up defensively, and that's as good as I've seen them pulled apart in that time frame that we've spoken about. But I think the way they continue to set up and they just stick to their structures, they move the ball quicker in that last little bit. Geelong would have had to have spoken about that at three-quarter time, wouldn't they? They're going to throw everything at it here, but they weren't able to handle it. Essentially, when the push come to shove, the Cats boys went to
sleep.
Went to sleep.
And what Geelong did was we made mention of they made Melbourne's defenders and key defenders really accountable. So they got that up their sleeve for the rest of the final series. Those three players up forward we talked about, Cameron, Hawkins and Rowan, they're there for the rest of the final series.
For 3.5 quarters, they were the better team, and after the bell, they completed one hell of a comeback, coming from 44 down to kick the last 8 of the game. Max Gawn after the siren to give Melbourne a 4-point win in their first minor premiership since 1964. Let's get into the Melbourne rooms with the man positive lingers himself, Ed Langdon. G'day, Ed.
Hey guys, how you going?
Well, how did that feel?
Yeah, wow, that was pretty special. You don't get a whole lot of those sort of games in your career, so certainly make the most of them when you get them.
What were you thinking when Max was going back and the big man had the footy, needed to kick the goal to give you the minor premiership? Were you confident?
Yeah, absolutely. He's an incredible kick for the bloke his size. He's did dick from set shot usually. I know he missed one a couple of years ago, but I think everyone was pretty confident he'd kick it.
Did that enter your mind there, Ed, just in the last quarter thinking, hang on, he's had an opportunity like this before in the last quarter to win the game, and you obviously thought about it. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, I was more worried about whether Max was thinking about it or not. I'm sure he was.
Yeah, I think maybe that was. We'd like to know if you could is Maisie around? Maybe just yell at the Maisie and just ask him what he told or said to Maxie there right at the end before he had his shot. But that would be interesting. Let's move on. But what was said at three-quarter time was obviously, you're 6 goals down, but the message must have been just, let's throw everything at him and see where it takes us.
Not particularly, actually. We don't really like to just sort of roll the dice too much. We sort of back in our system, and the message is more, let's get 1, then let's get 2, then let's get 3, and if you get 2 or 3 quick ones, which we did, would really put him under pressure, and it showed at the end there. So it was great coaching on Goody's behalf and the assistants. Just keep a level head and sort of back in our system.
You obviously sensed like the momentum out there. Were you talking about as players and more of a senior player that just keep encouraging the guys to keep going and to make the most of the momentum you did have?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's been a big shift with our crowds. I think comebacks are certainly a lot more on the cards. So teams don't seem to be putting opposition away as quickly or at all. So probably no crowd helped. We could sort of create our own energy. And as I said, once you sort of kick 3 quick ones, the energy goes through the roof.
It's Brett Lidio here, mate. Well done on tonight and your season. I just want to know what your thoughts were and what the chat was like out there during that second quarter. The Cats got one hell of a roll on. I'm interested in your thoughts and how you steadied the ship.
Yeah, that's probably our biggest improvement we've had this year. I dare say last year we would have been biting everyone's heads off. So it's been huge growth on the team's behalf, and as much as you can stay positive in a situation like that, we know our system will always get us back into the game. So it's sort of weather the storm, get into the change rooms and reset.
And Mark Choco Williams, mate, he would have been going absolutely bananas in there and on the bench for most of the night, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. It was also his 63rd birthday today, so we tried to give him a nice birthday surprise.
Where do you want to play next week, Ed, if someone came to you and said, hey, this is where we can play our home final?
MCG, is that still an option?
I think you and I both wish it would be. Have you got if it's somewhere else, where is there a preference out of, say, the South Australia, Queensland or Tassie?
We've got a really good record at Adelaide Oval, so I'd hazard a guess that's probably what the coaches will pick, but I mean, that's certainly out of my hands. I'll leave that to them.
Do you feel like there's something special with this group, Ed? You're now clear on top of the ladder, first minor premiership since '64. You win in that kind of fashion in the last game of the regular season. Does it feel like you're part of something special?
Yeah, absolutely. As Goody was saying, you can be in the system for 30, 40 years and not be a part of something that we're trying to build. So I think everyone understands, the situation we've got ourselves in. But yeah, there's a lot of work to come. So everyone's sort of keeping a level head, but yeah, you got to recognise these situations when you find yourself in them.
Good luck, Ed, in your first final series as a Demon. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Ed Langdon with us, a 4-point win for Melbourne. They trailed by 44, time on in the third term, kicked the last 8 goals of the game. We're fast running out of time. The Giants are winners by 14 points, so we've got the top 7 positions on the ladder set. What it means leading into Sunday footy, if Essendon win, they're in 8th spot. If Fremantle win and Essendon lose, the Dockers finish 8th. So the Eagles are 9th. They're out regardless of what happens tomorrow. So the Bombers have it all in front of them. They can take care of their own business. If St Kilda beat Freo and Collingwood beat Essendon, the Bombers will remain 8th and they'll qualify by default. But the ladder...
How many days are they up to, the Bombers?
Since the last finals win?
Yeah, it's a lot.
How are you going to cope
6,100.
tomorrow?
Are you going to be all right?
Do that game?
I'll fall out of the box if they make it. Beach, it'll be a hell
Might
of
be tears.
be a hell of an effort. They haven't won a final since obviously 2004.
Hey, what are we talking about? Winning finals, mate? We're playing finals.
That's just a Twitter.
There's a Twitter account dedicated to days since Essendon have won a final, which is obviously
6,192.
Fair bit of water to go under the nose.
Go on your favourites list there, do you, Mosey?
Yep.
Beach, we're on the clock. We've got 2 minutes left.
Oh, this won't take long.
Give me the votes in the ABC football.
1 vote Hawkins, 2 Gawn, 3 Oliver.
3 to Clayton Oliver. There was no suspense. I was expecting a Gillan McLaughlin type. And 3 votes C. Oliver. That means he is the ABC Footballer of the Year.
There you go.
Yeah, congratulations to Clayton Oliver.
What does he win? Clearly deserved it tonight.
It's a trophy.
Outstanding game of football. Look at his stats
37, 26 contested, 7 inside 50s, 9 clearances,
7 tackles,
8 score involvements, 2 goals, 1.
There you go. Please.
So
tell me a better player.
On the field.
He finishes the year on 30 votes, 1 ahead of Ollie Wines and Marcus Bontempelli.
Really? It's good effort.
And remember, he was 6 behind a couple of weeks ago So Clayton Oliver, a strong end to the year. And our experts who see the game as good as anyone, they vote on a 3-2-1 basis. So keep that in mind as we get a little closer to the Brownlow. But Clayton Oliver has won the ABC Footballer of the Year. He's got 3 votes in the last game.
What does he win?
He wins a nice trophy.
Hey?
He wins a nice trophy.
Maybe I can drink it with him. Two Rangers get together and enjoy a beer. Whenever that is, Dan, whenever you let us, mate.
It's been a privilege to be here tonight. Boy, are we lucky to have a break from what's going on in our lives to come down to Geelong and witness something like that. Thanks to you, Maisie.
Thank you, Corbin.
Thanks, Beach. Thanks, Lids.
Thank you, Corby.
We'll hear you tomorrow on Grandstand AFL. Thanks to Jess Webster. Thanks to Jules, to Andrea back in the studio. The Demons are minor premiers for the first time since 1964. Grandstand AFL from 12 noon Eastern tomorrow. And we'll decide who finishes 8th. The Bombers have their fate in their own hands, but it'll start with Fremantle and St Kilda. You can hear it across the country. Join us then on Grandstand AFL. Signing off from Cardinia Park.